Tonight on the Black Channel, the question isn't really who should be speaking for us. The question is really who should even be speaking on us. The Black Channel is live. Unapologetic, unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, and the everlasting superfortress of intelligent black thought. We are the Black Media, and this is the Black Channel, and I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the voice of the new Black Media, the Black Authority, broadcasting to you live from the only historically black college and university of higher education and learning in the entire cosmos. Buckle in. It's gonna be a rough ride. And you're gonna be joining us because on tonight's program here, just to make a few things straight, I didn't get to do this last night, and there's a number of different things I want to touch on here tonight. So I'm going to advise you all, and I'm going to request from you all from the beginning here to make sure that you are ready, because things are going to move kind of swift tonight. Got a lot I want to cover, and it's going to move kind of swift. So be forewarned. Exactly what we're dealing with here. Now, I didn't get to deal with this last night because we were talking about reparations. And boy, I'm telling you, reparations, man, us laying this out and exactly deciding and distinguishing exactly what it will be here, it's got a lot of folks upset. A lot of folks are in their feelings. A lot of folks feel some kind of way. And you're dealing with it on two fronts. The front of trying to tell us we shouldn't get anything, and the front of trying to dilute or detour what it is we should be getting. Case in point, Providence, the mayor, you can take a look at this guy here. You can take a look at this fella here, Mayor Jorge Elorza. According to the Providence Journal, he signed the city's $10 million reparations budget on Friday. This was November 18th, so roughly 4 weeks ago. The signing comes after months of meetings by a commission that determined how American Rescue Plan Act funds would be spent on what has formerly been dubbed the COVID-19 Equities Program. Elorza said that when the process began, quote, it was met with a whole lot of skepticism. Quote, folks mentioned all of the reasons why it shouldn't be done, he said, and there are a lot of folks, frankly, that thought it would never get done. But what exactly got done? While he's trying to make it seem like he did something great here, exactly what got done? He says the mayor says Providence can now serve as a national model for reparations. So you got a lot of folks out here abusing this word now. You got a lot of folks out here abusing this word. That's all I want you to understand. So what does it mean? What are they talking about here? What's in the reparations package? It says the largest investment categories totaling $1 million or more each are home ownership and financial literacy, workforce training, small businesses, grants for, quote, business, cultural, and social support organizations, and a United Way COVID-19 Equity Fund, though there aren't yet specific details on what that would fund. So you're seeing people using the word reparations and its total bastardization. So just like the feminist movement and the LGBT movement, something that we have worked to make happen here, take a look at what they're doing. All of a sudden, they're telling you that it means something totally different that we never said at all. Something we never said, period. But that's where we're at. And then they're telling you we don't even know what it means. But this is going to be a model for reparations. So this is for the intention of giving reparations a bad name. We did all the footwork of making it possible. Now they want to give reparations a bad name. It goes on to say here, smaller items include investments in media, whatever that means, scholarships, a policy and research center, and special K through 12 curriculums focused on New England history and the, quote, matter of truth report that influenced the reparations program. The nearly 200-page document was released last year detailing the state's involvement in the slave trade, harm to indigenous people, and urban renewal projects that depopulated black neighborhoods. So you see, the only people who actually have a valid grievance, as I've always told you, we get thumbtacked on at the end. They use us like a post-it note to tack on at the end. But what they're not doing is centering the discussion on the descendants of slaves. Now that's what they're not doing. So it becomes reparations for everybody. And then that's what they want to redefine reparations to be, which is why we are going to have to stand very steadfast to make sure that no one corrupts it and turns it into something else. So what he's doing here, he can call it reparations, he can call it a grilled cheese sandwich, but it isn't anything. It's not anything except a scam. Now the article goes on to say, what is the United Way COVID-19 Equity Fund? The United Way Fund was announced late last year when a change to the budget was made, removing 3 items: a home repair fund, an expansion of Elorza's guaranteed income program, and a legal defense fund for renters being evicted, and replacing it with the United Way item. A letter from United Way states the allocation of more than $1.7 million will be used, quote, to support community engagement and equity building programs. So the United Way is going to get millions of dollars. They're telling you, oh, we need to do something for black people at the very end. So they're going to show black faces and say, oh, we need to do something for equity for black folk. And then are you going to give the money to black folk? Oh, no. We're going to give it to the United Way. Did you get that? They sit up here and tell you, oh, it's about black people, and they mentioned us in passing. And then you say, well, what are you going to do with the money? Are you going to give it to the black folk you're referring to? No, we're going to give it to the United Way. $1.7 million. We're going to give it to them. And that is your reparations. Giving it to the United Way, and only a part of those funds will even be used for what United Way says. Most of it's probably going to go out in, quote, administrative fees. So they're presenting this as, quote unquote, reparations, and it's nothing of the sort. Now it says, a letter from United Way states that the allocation of more than $1.7 million will be used, quote, to support community engagement and equity building programs. Information from the city council states the purpose of the partnership is, quote, attracting additional investment from outside partners, end quote, so that the reparations budget can grow. Any expenditures within the United Way Fund would require council approval and a public hearing. Larry Warner, United Way of Rhode Island's Director of Grants and Strategic Initiatives, said the funding would be, quote, aligned with the recommendations from the Reparations Commission and focused in part on, quote, economic security and mobility and workforce development. So when you hear them talking about reparations, this is one side of it you're dealing with where they want to redefine it where it does nothing. They want to redefine it where it does nothing. And then you got other folk who want to say there shouldn't be reparations at all. And they are a shifty, questionable, dubious bunch. I'm telling you, not only should they not be speaking for us, I would also suggest to you they shouldn't even be speaking on us, because we're over here and they're over there. And that's really what it is. Case in point, for those of you who hadn't heard about that before, I would be remiss if I didn't mention this. People have been talking about an interview with Faison Love, a comedian, and moguldom, to their credit. Thank you here, Miss Ishika Harrison. The headline, very, very nice. Thank you very much. Cuban-American actor Faison Love claims Black Americans would waste reparations. Very glad that she put that in the headline to make that very, very clear from the beginning. And of course, is DJ Vlad. Of course, his grubby, oily fingerprints would be all over it. And to show you what an expert on this old Faison would be, as a matter of fact, I'm just going to speed ahead here because Vlad talks for damn near a minute to catch this guy up on something. Obviously, he didn't know anything about it, and yet he's going to start telling you what he knows.
And what she said was she's part of this committee, and based on economists that they have hired to basically look into reparations and the housing wealth gap and so forth, the economists have recommended $223,000 per person in California who is a descendant of slavery.
Fuck that $223,000. You know what it is? Fuck that. That's another trick bag. You know why? Because that money's gonna go right back to Cadillac, right back to motherfucking Benz. Fuck that. You know what it should be? Black people should be tax exempt. Because when you were a slave, you were tax write-offs.
Okay. Folks, I'm going to be about as diplomatic about this as I can possibly be. First thing I'm going to say is that this is what happens when the class clown attempts to be the class teacher. This is the first thing that happens. Somebody who's not very educated and not very knowledgeable about these things, and DJ Vlad sits up here and shoves a microphone in his face, knowing what the response is going to be that he's going to get. Somebody completely unqualified to speak on us, to speak on us, to speak on us. Because every time that certain subjects come up and certain things come out, they start making distinctions between themselves and us. Now, dealing with the substance, even if he weren't of immigrant background, dealing with the substance of what he said, that's still wrong too.
Black people should be tax exempt.
Black people are the poorest people in America, sir. We're the poorest people in America. Our income, even if you didn't, first of all, most black folk ain't really paying taxes to begin with. Earned income tax credit, child tax credit. It's not like most black folk are sitting in the middle class or upper middle class. So making black folk as a group tax exempt, that's not going to do anything except for the top 25%. That would do great, for people like Faison. Yeah, making him tax exempt. Oh, that would be great for Faison. But that would not move the needle for the average black male who makes $42,000 a year, or the average black female who makes $36,000 a year. Being tax exempt is not going to help them. $223,000, people, you can't buy a house in California for $223,000, so that's not going to address housing. You can't buy a house for that in California. It won't address housing, so it's got to address something else. It will have to address something else, which is how in the hell did you fall behind so far that it can't even afford to buy a house for you? Yeah, because the other assets are missing. So of course he wants to say something like this that's supposed to sound intelligent. No, this is something for him. This is something for him. This is something that'll help him and some of the folk he deals with. But it's not going to do anything for black people as a group. That's the problem that we run into. The problem that we run into is folk wanting to speak on us. Not speak for us, but speak on us. He's not speaking for black folk. He's not even speaking to black folk, descendants of slaves. He's wanting to speak on us and tell us about what our priorities are and what we gonna do. He wants to speak on that.
$23,000 per person in California who is a descendant of slavery.
Fuck that 203,000. You know what it is? Fuck that. That's another trick bag. You know why? Because that money's gonna go right back to Cadillac, right back to motherfucking Benz.
So take a look at the contempt. Take a look at the contempt that this Idaho spud built nigga is talking about us with. Take a look at the level of sheer contempt he's speaking on. He's coming out the gate talking like that. First of all, like he ain't the kind of guy who does that. First of all, he's talking like he's not that kind of fella. He's talking like like he's not doing that to begin with. He's talking like he's somehow different. But okay. Take a look at the level of contempt they speak with. Remember what I taught you all. If you want to know what a black person truly believes, put a white person in front of them and let them ask the questions. If you want to know what truth serum for a black person, put a white person in front of them and let that white person ask them whatever it is you want to know, and they will tell that person the truth. And for those of you who are late, know he's a Cuban descent, not Haitian. And yet, DJ Vlad, who's already against reparations, remember Vlad is against reparations. He's not in favor of reparations. So of course, he goes to go grab somebody, anybody in his Rolodex and to go ahead and sit them up here and say, here, I want you to go ahead. Let me tee this ball up for you. And you can go ahead and speak against reparations. Why on earth would you ask Faison about reparations? Why on the planet would you do that? He's not an economic expert. He's not a social thought leader. He has no pedigree in this area. None whatsoever. But this is about finding people to speak on us. Because when you've got momentum behind you, you got to try to make it look like members of your group are against it. So they find people that reparations does not apply to and then get them to speak on it as if they represent what should be the prevailing thought for the rest of us. And that's the issue that we have. Having people who speak on us. If you agree with what you're hearing here tonight, give me a thumbs up in the chat room and hit the likes button. Because I got some choice words tonight. I got some choice words tonight for who we speak on. I got some choice words tonight. If you agree with what you're hearing here tonight, give me a thumbs up and hit that likes button and let Faison know what time it is. Everybody and their mama wants to speak on us. We don't speak on them about their issues. But when it comes to us, all of a sudden they want to speak on us. And I want you to understand how these black immigrants disproportionately harbor contempt for us. Now understand, he'll walk in a room full of black folk, but he's been dreaming of getting credibility among white folk. He's been dreaming of getting that Kevin Hart, Dave Chappelle shine. Faison has been waiting on that train to come in for a minute. Faison, despite some of the stuff he says about Dave Chappelle, keeping it real, Faison has been wishing he could get that kind of shine for a while, and it ain't happened. It's never happened for him. So, truth be told, he feels some kind of way because he never really got that shine. But if he could have, he'd get it. But Faison is too rough around the edges for these other folk to take him. So he's trying to act like he's okay where he's at. But that's not the truth. Faison wishes he could cross over. Faison would love to be that guy who could cross over, and he can't cross over. He can't get there. He can't get there, so he's speaking on us because he can't get there. So the issue he has is he has to deal with black folk because the dominant society is not really giving nothing. So he's got to get up here and in his opinion, this is beneath him, which is really an incredible thing for him to think. But they give it to him for a reason. And that's the point I want to make here tonight. We're here to have a teaching moment tonight. Tonight, we are here to have a teaching moment. So we can go ahead and clear up a few things here. I want to have a teaching moment about this. There's, among other things, you have this concerted effort to weaponize the immigrant class of the Caribbean, Cuba, and Central America against black people who actually come from the experience of slavery. You see a concerted effort to weaponize them and to mobilize them against our interests. And while that doesn't say it is everybody, unfortunately, it's the majority. Unfortunately, it's the majority. So we're having a teaching moment here tonight. I want to have a teaching moment about this. You see, I got love for our diaspora relatives around the world here, but I don't have love for those who still adhere to backstabbing culture. And there is an issue with a backstabbing culture. And the white society and the white media, the white supremacist media like Vlad, CNBC, MSNBC, Fox, and others, they know that these are reliable people because you get the optics of black people without the context of slavery. And you're dealing with people who do not identify. We're talking about the experience of slavery in America, and you got people who do, they might be black, but they do not identify with our experience with slavery in America. As far as they're concerned, that's a fluke. And just like the white Latinos, when they get over here to America, these black folk from the Caribbean sit up here and assimilate. These black folk from Cuba sit up here and assimilate. They assimilate with the dominant society. They trying to figure out how they can wear the white suit and sit on the front porch with massa. So when they speak on these things, just understand what their viewpoint is. That's why you've heard so many heinous things from them. That's why they're not very galvanized in that regard. They're not very galvanized in that regard. And we have done all the footwork that makes everything here possible. So for him to sit up here and move his hamburger built lips to sit up here and speak on us and say what we would do, they ain't gonna do nothing but go back to the Cadillac dealership and the Benz dealership. And meanwhile, this guy's an expert to speak on this. Why? How? By that token right there, is he going to say build the wall and say, hey, these immigrants coming over here, all they doing is shooting things up and going to the Cadillac dealership and the Mercedes-Benz dealership and making a bunch of bastard kids? Is he going to sit up here and say that? Nah, no, don't need no DACA, don't need none of that. Is that going to be the case? Is that going to be the case? What I'm saying is that the problem that we've had is that we have allowed individuals who harbor contempt for us, who harbor contempt. We have to take this as our chance now to let everybody know that is not going to be tolerated any longer, period. So Faison is going to find himself the subject to conversations he didn't think was going to happen. Ask Busta Rhymes how that went. Ask Jalen Rose how that went. Ask Charles Barkley how that went. They're finding them, Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharp. Ask them how it went. They found themselves the subject of conversations they didn't think they were going to be. They found themselves trending on Twitter and showing up on YouTube in places they didn't think they'd be. It's a new day, Faison. And what we're saying is that for those of you who have a pedigree of backstabbing cultures where y'all sit up here and folk in your families help you, and then after you get in a good spot, you turn around and stab them in the back. That's just the way of life. That's just the way y'all do things. It's part of the culture for somebody to do something for you and then you stab them in the back. You find some chick, you sit up here and get her pregnant, and as soon as you can get on a banana boat to America, you leave her and the kid back in Cuba, back in Jamaica, back in Puerto Rico, back in the Dominican Republic, back in Haiti. She got to fend for herself. And you sitting up here in the States, done grabbed a whole new female in New York, or Los Angeles, or Florida, or Texas. Got a whole damn chick you done got pregnant, a whole family back where you come from, and you sitting here telling them you ain't married, you ain't got no kids, you don't have anything. That's coming from a backstabbing culture. And I'll be damned if I'm going to believe that if you will not sit up here and stop backstabbing on each other, that you're going to come among us and stand up with us against white supremacy. We'd be crazy to think that. That's why every time you turn around, they want to change the subject off of that. They don't really put in any work in that regard. We are the only people putting in that kind of work. But they don't want that either because they're trying to make deals with these same people. See, y'all got to understand something. Don't let folk like Faison run the trick bag on you when he talks about Dave Chappelle being accepted by white audiences. There's a difference between having a black base and trying to appeal to white audiences. Dave and Faison, there's not much daylight between the two of them. It's just that Dave got better results. Faison couldn't figure out how it is that Dave is doing pretty much what Faison does, and Dave's got better results. That's the only issue Faison got is how the hell you doing that and making it? How the hell you doing that and winning? That's rough on him. He doesn't get that. So backstabbing culture is when you have folk who sat up here and paved the way for you and made it easy for you, and instead of you showing respect and deference, you're instead showing contempt. And what you were probably betting on is, well, the word hadn't gotten that far around. Now the word's gotten pretty damn far around, actually. Actually, it has. What we do here, though, what we do here is something you don't see anywhere else. You don't see that among other folk. What we do here is unique. What we do here moves the needle. But some folks don't like that. Some people don't like that. They don't like that you're at a place now that has set the narrative and set the agenda and continues to do so, because rather than seeing to the needs of the group, you got folk out here think they're going to sit up here and see to themselves, and they're not really smart enough to make that crack off. So what I want to do here tonight is I want to go ahead and lay down the law on a few things here so we can go ahead and clear the air, as it were, if it were. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's tetherball. I think they had the tetherball championship today. They had the tetherball championship overseas. A bunch of y'all are trying to get back in touch with your roots, I guess. All right, I don't know. I don't know. But for some strange reason, I'm seeing folks sitting up here wanting to speak on those of us getting something done. I don't know if you're just feeling really emboldened today. I don't get it. It might be. What I'm going to say is I don't fool with you. I don't know you. I don't talk about you. But you desperate to say something to somebody who doesn't even acknowledge your existence. This is part of that backstabbing culture. You looking for somebody to sit up here and give you something for nothing. You're looking for somebody to give you something for nothing. Yeah, y'all look weird as hell with the tetherball championship. Y'all look weird as hell, but okay. They don't even recognize it. It's like that with the empanadas and the funny smelling rice. They don't even understand how weird they look big up in that. But I'm like, okay, hey, do you? They'll be back next week talking about the Super Bowl. But hey, do you? Go ahead, do you? But you know what? Let me go ahead and explain a few things for you right here. Those of you who come from backstabbing cultures and those of you who identify with folk from backstabbing cultures, you look at those of us who know how to build. You look at those of us who know how to make things happen. You take a look at those of us who know how to make things pop off, and then that green-eyed monster, the jealousy, starts coming out of you. Because you done had 20, 30 years and you couldn't make it happen the way we made it happen. You ain't got the hustle bones in you. You ain't got the hustle bones in you. So case in point, It'll be some niggas out there running their mouths, trying to speak on us. You got some out there, they want to run their mouths and speak on us just to show how inconsequential it is. Nigga, I don't know you. I don't know you. Why are you fighting this hard? Are you part of LGBT? You fighting this hard to get attention from a man who does not know you? Groupies. Female groupies is one thing, but the dudes are putting on their thongs and oiling up their butt cheeks and trying to get the attention of the voice of the new black media. I don't understand what it is. Question. Can it be called new black media? Oh yeah, as a matter of fact, you're so inconsequential, I have no problem whatsoever showing your nobody ass. Can it be called new black media if all they ever discuss are old topics like rap beef and relationship drama while ignoring black creators? We don't ignore black creators. You ain't one. No, we don't ignore black creators. The problem is you ain't one. But since you got my name in your mouth, it's like, dude, this is a sad commentary. Melanie Payne tried to get him on the right track, and this is when you see a grown-ass man, I can't even call you a man, a grown-ass boy sitting up here trying to beg off of other grown men. And Melanie Payne tried to set your ass straight. Who you talking about? And she said, I think we put too much on one or two people. We have a duty to fill in the blank of what's missing. All hands on deck. A woman having to tell a male how to be a man. All hands on deck in order to move things forward. I listen to several new black media folks that have their own channel and they listen to the main ones. And she's telling him there isn't a black channel dedicated to black creators, which means it's open season to go make it part of the moving parts of all of us. Now, the question is, who is going to start a new black media channel dedicated to creators? Now, here comes your lame ass Negro. I offered to pay monthly in effective advertising. You never contacted me for it, so this is probably not a true statement. They did it correctly one time and then were not consistent. They got upset that celebs want money from new black media to do an interview, then ignored those of us who are actually paying for exposure. You never paid us. So, no, you might, when you're trying to get that 8-ball, I'm not sure, but you weren't paying us. You weren't paying us. Now, Melanie comes back here. I'll be damned if the females ain't the one wearing the combat boots and the niggas are up here wearing the lace and the satin drawers. She says, then it's time to make your own channel and get your own exposure. She's sitting here trying to tell a male how to be a man, and he's sitting up here disputing it. She said, that's what I stated in response to Rufus. Oh, Rufus, all right. This is a category that's not saturated at all, which means you have the ability to make it do what it do because no rules have been set. Well, you can't make it do what it do when you do nothing, but all right. Become the trendsetter, and 15 years down the road, this shouldn't be an issue. This is a woman talking to some sissified ass mama's boy, telling him how to be a man. And predictably, it ain't working. So she told him, get off your ass, nigga. If you don't like what another man is doing, ain't nothing changed until you wash your ass, nigga. And then you go make something pop off yourself instead of sitting up here and panhandling and begging another grown man to make something happen for you. Because you notice he ain't talking about advertising. He's talking about somebody giving him something. So you have a grown woman telling him what he needs to do. Listen to what he said. Okay, so where does the money get generated from that? So she just told him what to do, and he's talking about, okay, but where's the money gonna come from? Oh, do months and years of ragging on the same topic, then finally get a couple $100? I've attempted this stuff and it don't make dollars. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. Physical media is what sells. I simply need a consistent person to promote it for me. Promote your own damn thing. That's what she said, is promote your own damn thing. The new black media actually has the power, but don't want to use it. Dude, We use it all the time. If you're lame, that's not our fault. So when I find someone out the community to do the work I'm paying them for, I better not hear any, oh, that's a sellout. No, this is someone who finally got serious. Dude, you can't afford to pay us. What kind of backwards LGBTQIA divestor talk is this? You think you're going to use reverse psychology and make some grown ass men, we supposed to come to you with, oh, lame, Fob's lame. That's Fob's lane. Oh, okay. Mr. Lame. I said lane. Okay, whatever. Please don't take your 20 cents that you couldn't afford to pay us. Please don't take it somewhere else. Nigga, do you need the number to Lamar Advertising? Would you like the number to Clear Channel? Would you like the number to iHeartRadio? I have all of them. If you can go scrounge together an extra $50, I will give you the number so you can call whatever white media outlets you want to. You want to call Sinclair Broadcasting? I got their number too. So dude, don't talk about it, be about it. If you want to go buy advertising anywhere, we don't give a damn. Brother, this is not gonna be me sitting up here begging you. Bruh, I didn't know you were here before. I won't know you're gone. I didn't know you came in, and I didn't know you were leaving. Do you break bread wherever you want to, but first you got to get the money to break. You got to get the bread before you can break it. Got to get the bread before you can break it. By the way, here he is still whining at this woman. 15 years? That's a mighty long time. Hell, I made 3 book titles in a year and a half. Maybe these new black media guys are hustling wrong when it comes to creating money from content. Well, you know what, nigga? Maybe this is an opportunity for Jason Black to learn. Maybe this is an opportunity for the voice of the new black media to learn something from your unknown amateur night anonymous whack ass. Maybe it's an opportunity for me to learn from you. So you know what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read one more thing from Melanie, and then we going to see if you can game us up. So she says to him, 15 years is not a long time. It takes a long time for anything to really stick. If you want to make it 5 years, then so be it. As in long-term goals. Again, this is an open market, an unsaturated market, and then you set the rules / trend for it. However you do it. The only time someone will call you a sellout is if you are giving your money to a white woman and some half-breed babies. Business is business. This is business, ain't nothing personal. Hallelujah, Melanie. Ain't nobody missing that nigga's 3 extra pennies. Dude, do whatever you want to do. We weren't begging you for it before. We won't miss it. First, you got to get it, though. Just one caveat. First, you got to get it. This is business. Ain't nothing personal about any of what you said. So keep that in mind and move forward and make it do what it do, sir. Listen to what this lame ass nigga said. 15 years is a long time. 15 years before generating any money is a long time. What I need are advertisers and promoters. Nobody has suggested anybody, and I'm willing to pay. So he's sitting up here in the presence of grown men and grown women, and this is the type of audience that will sit here and entertain him. A grown-ass male whining. So you know what? I took it upon myself to look into this. You are so inconsequential, you lame-ass failure, that, by the way, I'm sitting up here using my valuable time. You wanted promotion? You got it. You wanted promotion? That was what you wanted? Okay, I'll promote you. Well, what do you know, everybody? This is his Kickstarter, and from some of them pictures I seen, that hairline is hella suspect. The hairline, the hairstyle is hella suspect, but you know what? We gonna keep it pushing past that. He in Houston, Texas. Houston, he giving y'all a badass look. This clown is giving you a badass look. This bootleg ass knockoff Eric Benet is giving Houston a badass look. H-Town, regulate. H-Town need to regulate. He giving y'all a badass look. But okay. Looking like something from Male Vogue. All right. So he's got, his crowdfundings. Well, y'all, it looks like I'm about to learn something. Well, he's done some crowdfundings. Well, y'all, I spoke too soon. I downed him too soon. He been out here hustling. He's been making a name for himself. I was just assuming something wasn't happening, but he's been making it pop off. Hey, let's take a look. Let's take a look to the right. New NC's finest. I guess that's North Carolina. All right, brother. You know what? I spoke too soon. Let's take a look at what you're doing. All right. His name is Lane Fobbs, a.k.a. Slitted City Slim. All right. Host of the show NC's Finest. We are a hip-hop interview show airing every Saturday at 2 a.m. on the CW Wilmington. You're on at 2 a.m. on CW? Is this a joke? Okay. Well, let's take a look and see how the project is going here. Okay, North Carolina's finest. All right, y'all. December 26, 2021. So that was a year ago. He was looking to raise $30,000 and he raised, oh boy. Oh my. Oh my. No wonder he's over here saying it ain't never gonna happen. In the words of my man Guru, Gangstar, Mass Appeal, no way you'll ever make it. No way you'll ever make it. No way you'll ever make it. Funding unsuccessful. Words I ain't never seen. I've never seen those words before. So no wonder the little wannabes, he sees real players make it happen. I ain't never seen this word before, dude. I've never seen this word. This is your life. This is your autobiography. This is your epitaph. I ain't never seen that. Y'all, he asked for 30 G's and got $100. He got enough money to pay for his internet service for the month so he could beg for some more money. No wonder you're salty as hell. You don't need to be speaking on us. You don't need to be speaking on us. But I know why you're angry. Well, you know what? I'm probably speaking too soon. After all, he had 3 crowdfundings he's done. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next one here. Becky, continuing the story. Canceled? Funding canceled? Wait, we went from funding unsuccessful to funding canceled? Y'all, April 26th. This is this year. This was after his first one. 4 months after his first one, he didn't ask for 30,000. He asked for less than 10%. He asked for $2,000 and got $86. I guess Becky got you. Hey, if you go date you a Becky, she might get that $2,000 for you. I see why you're salty when you got a life taking this many L's back to back. I see why you salty, dude. Hey, I'm giving you promotion. Oh, whack ass nigga. I'm giving you promotion. You wanted to be promoted? Now you got it. Everybody can see the caliber of talent that you present while you sitting up here false flagging on my name. But okay, maybe if you get you a Becky, she can show you how to become a success. I don't know. But this nigga asked for 30 G's, got $100, asked for $2,000, got $86. His grandmama didn't give him no money. That's what that means. That literally means nobody believes in him. 4 people threw in $22 a piece. $21 a piece and some change. They don't believe in you. They don't believe in you. Well, Jason, he had another crowdfunding. I know. Maybe things went better. That's a matter of opinion. Well, you take a look at this one right here. Well, I'll be damned. I'll be damned. Well, we didn't see failed this time. We didn't see failure. It's not a failure this time. Boy, I'm telling you, he was looking for his life to turn around. He put this up in April also. So basically, this dude is putting up 2 crowdfundings in 1 month. April and April. His whole life is begging for money. So unlike the previous work, because ain't nobody giving a damn, here he goes with this. Black facts about each of the 50 states. So he's put together a coloring book or something. He asked for $3,000, 10% of what he originally wanted before. 10%. He got $4,111 to date. It's December. 8 months later, he's raised $4,111. But at least he actually got it this time. But there's a glitch in the hitch. Now, I'm not going to play your little old video, dude, but he said that if he could get the $3,000, because this is what he asked for, he said that the $3,000 would allow him to finish the book. You know what, nigga? I want to go ahead and show you something. Jason, you saying nigga a lot? I sure am.
We were suffering old Jim Crow civil rights.
Well, listen to him.
Be your regular run-of-the-mill up from slavery. We were suffering old Jim Crow civil rights. No, every fact about every state is going to be something that you didn't know that highlights our impact on that state and ultimately the country that we live in. We're asking for $3,000. That's going to allow us to finish the book as well as print it and get it out. It's important that young readers...
Did y'all see how quickly he said that? We needed the $3,000 would allow us to finish the book and get it out. All the young readers, did you hear that? So he literally just told you, I need $3,000 to finish the book and get it out.
Going to allow us to finish the state and ultimately the country that we live in. We're asking for $3,000. That's going to allow us to finish the book as well as print it and get it out. It's important that...
Boy, that thing cut off as soon as he said, get it out. That's a con man running, print it and get it out. If the children need this, boy, I'm telling you. First of all, dude, a baritone would help you. Don't hate on somebody who got one. That's the first thing. Don't hate on somebody who got one. Kind of gives people confidence. Second of all, for those of you who understand anything about printing, he said he needs $3,000 to finish this coloring book. $3,000 to finish it. How the hell do you need $3,000 to finish 50 pages of very lightweight elementary artwork? What the hell? What the hell? This is what the hell they talking about. And by the way, how many copies of a 50-page book, or let's just say it's 25 pages front and back, sure. How many copies is he gonna be able to print after he finishes, quote unquote, making the book? You got to send it to the printer for typesetting and everything. How many copies is he going to be able to afford to print up? How many? How many with $3,000 after you've used the money to finish the book? What you gonna do? What I'm saying, dude, is that you are a piss poor, pathetic, wannabe business person. And that's why you could have 1 year, 15 months, 15 years, 15 lifetimes. You ain't gonna make it. You are clueless, helpless, and inept at being a business person, and you hating on those of us who aren't. You don't know how to do business, but you hating on those of us who have. I got Amazon bestsellers under my belt. You still trying to get something done. If you've been listening to me all this time, you'd already be gamed up. I'm not talking about me. I'm not talking about me. It doesn't matter if I made $1 million. You know, I've got hundreds of people who I have shown over the last decade how to get themselves into the upper middle class. If I opened up the phone lines and invited them to call in, the phone lines would be jammed for the next 3 weeks. And everybody knows it. I'd be on here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I have told people, advised them, coached them on how to make it work. And they call up all the time to say, Jason, it worked out just the way you said. This fella right here been sitting here all the whole damn time, but let's just go ahead and keep it real, dude. You waiting for somebody else to give it to you. You waiting for somebody else to give you something. Can you go ahead and hand this to me? Where's the money? Where does the money get generated from that? It gets generated from you, oh lazy ass sophomore dropout nigga. It comes from you. Get off your ass, get a real job, do overtime, get a second job, stack your money. You'd have way more than $3,000. But let me tell you something. If a fella isn't able to invest $3,000 in himself, you'd be a fool to give him another $3,000. Let me explain something to you, oh strawberry shortcake built ass nigga. I didn't ask anybody for anything. I took $70,000 of my own money. I had my girlfriend at the time, and she sat there. Oh, I'm going to tell y'all exactly what the hell it is, since these other folks don't want to let you know. I had my girlfriend at the time, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and she said, well, baby, you got the money. If there was something you wanted to do and money was no object, if you could do anything you wanted to do and money was no object, what would it be? And I told her I would make a documentary about black entrepreneurship. I felt like that was just too long of a sentence to even say. She sat there and held my head in her hands and she said, then that's what you need to do. Because I had been talking about it for a while. I just hadn't gone to it. But she said, that's what you need to do. I thought about it for a few days. And then I just said, well, you know what? You only live once. Let's get to it. I started making phone calls. I started lining them up. It took a few weeks to do that. I checked out the best cameras. That took me about 6 months to prepare. Checked out the best cameras, the best techniques. And then I got the hell up to doing it. No, it wasn't Steven Spielberg. No, it was like Michael Moore when he first started. It was very low budget, but I said, hey, get off of your ass and do the best work you can do. I got somebody who knew how to operate the cameras at a competent level. I liked what he did. It was good enough for what I was trying to do. And then I made the rest of it jump. I didn't wait for nobody else. And as you all will remember, you all found out about 7 a.m. when I posted the first video of Dr. Claude Anderson just sitting there looking at the camera. You hear somebody talking to him and everybody was disputing whether or not this was genuine footage or not. But you just see Dr. Anderson just sitting there looking at somebody, and then you see him respond. He starts giggling when I said, I've come 1,000 miles to see you, and he giggles. So folks were questioning whether or not this was actually authentic footage. They had never seen it before, but he didn't really say anything. So that was me whetting people's appetite. Then I come back with the next video, and Dr. Claude Anderson explains why we are the poorest people in the world, and everybody was put on notice. Something new about to drop. Something new about to drop. Then I went to go speak to Donahue Peebles. And let me tell you something right now, baby. To all the folks who've been having my name in their mouths today, it's hard to hear a hater all the way up on the 24th floor on Madison Avenue. It's hard to hear a hater all the way up there in Don Peoples' office. It's hard to hear a hater all the way up there. It's hard. Hard to hear y'all down there. I didn't wait for somebody else to tell me. I didn't wait for Black Enterprise Magazine to give me permission. I didn't wait for somebody else to finance it for me. I got off my ass and financed it for myself. Nobody guaranteed me anything. No Netflix deal, no Amazon deal, no promotion. And I did all the work, and then I came back and I presented it to the people. And I said, I will let you all judge me. You all show me if the work that I have done is suitable and pleasing in your eyes. I opened up my crowdfunding not to finish my movie. The crowdfunding said exactly what it was for promotion and advertising, because you can't make a movie pop off if you don't have the ability to advertise and promote it, which is why you ain't never popped off, dude. And you all saw the money got spent. I was proud. I was proud to show you all where the money was spent around America. I was proud to show you that. I was proud to put Dr. Claude Anderson for the first time ever. Dr. Claude Anderson was on television in the biggest television markets in America. I made it my point that if nothing else happens, if we never get a chance to do this again, Dr. Claude Anderson is going to be on ABC New York television. He's going to be on DC, and he's going to be in Los Angeles. And he sure was. You saw the commercials. Folk were talking about it. Folks were buzzing. People are calling me. They wanted to know, can we speak to Dr. Claude Anderson? For the first time ever, he got national exposure on major outlets. I didn't really promote the film. I was promoting who was in it. And as you all know, ain't nothing been the same since then. Ain't nothing been the same since then. Real talk. Real talk. That's what you do. I didn't wait for somebody to give me the money. People were able to trust me because they saw that I had invested in myself. Fella, nobody trusts you because they don't see you investing in yourself. They see you begging. They don't see a hustler making things happen and then other people just simply supplement the hustle. They see a dude sitting up here begging other grown people to give him something. Then he's trying to bluff his way. When I find someone outside the community, nigga, get to finding them. You're supposed to be networking anyway. I'll be impressed when you get it done. You don't have to wait for our permission. Get it cracking. Y'all, I got advertising with Sinclair Broadcasting. You all know that Sinclair Broadcasting is a hardcore right-wing broadcasting network. Sinclair is infamously right-wing. And guess what? All three of my movies promoting the interests of intelligent black society and black empowerment, uncompromising. All three have been on Sinclair's broadcasting network up there in DC and Baltimore. All three. But the reason for that is because people could see what I was doing. I didn't ask them to help me finish my film. I said, hey, I'll finish the film. I got some money to start promoting it. If anybody else want to chip in, and folks were attracted to hustle. You ain't got it. You sitting up here with your satin and lace drawers on, complaining at a female. Talking to a female about what you want other men to do for you. She's telling you, let me tell y'all right now, I'm gonna say it. Some of you sassy ass fruit booty Jolly Rancher built niggas out here, there's a reason that females don't fool with y'all. Y'all get upset when females double and triple up on one dude. They the dope boys, or they want him just because they got money. He got money because he got hustle, he got drive, and he gets results, something you ain't never did. You're sitting in the presence of a female, not realizing there's other females watching your whack ass make up all these excuses. This is why you so damn angry, because you are sexually frustrated. Because if any female who hears you talking like this and sees you talking like this, dude, you ain't even got to worry about it. It ain't gonna happen. Don't worry about where she going after the club. It ain't gonna be with you. Don't worry about it. The club, the bus stop, the motel lobby, it ain't gonna be with you. You're sitting here in front of a female whining and complaining about what other men ain't doing for you. What the new black media needs to do for you. You're a grown-ass man, nigga, do for self. And then when we see you hustling and we see you get it moving, then other hustlers unite around you. Then the people as a group start organizing and congregating around you. He's sitting up here trying to do like a hoe and beg his way up on something. Can I beg my way? Can I try to shame a bunch of grown men? Can I shame them into giving me something? Dude, if you ain't a tether, you'll do till the tethers get here. If you're not one, you'll do till they get here. Let me tell you right now, he got enough money here to print up about 100 books. And that's gonna be it. Got about enough money to print up 100 books, and then good luck on that. Because you can't get the prices down unless you do a large print run. You can't really get the prices down. You don't have enough money to make a large enough order to get the prices down, so you're going to have to pay the top of the line. That's going to be it. And he's mad at those of us who put in the footwork over the last decade. Now he wants us to treat him like he's a hoe. And we're supposed to sit up here and start giving him things. There's a bunch of you fellas out here done failed the damn manhood test. There's a bunch of y'all done failed it. So I'm sitting up here waking up and my name is in your damn mouth. You sitting up here throwing subs. You need to be dealing with your business. Instead of hating on somebody else making it pop off, why don't you get something cracking so other people, so you can start conversations about yourself? Because I don't talk about you. I don't talk about you at all. If you know what, I talk about what I do. Jason, what do you do? It ain't about me. It ain't about me. Oh yeah, and by the way, you wanted to talk about doing something other than talking about rappers and relationships, and I don't talk about either. I talk about power dynamics. Let me show you a power dynamic, lame fobs. You take a look at my work. What you all see on this screen, this came out of my pocket. This was what I paid for. I didn't ask nobody to give me nothing, dude. And this wasn't to make money. This was to make change. Starting there at the bottom. Governor Cuomo, right there at the foot of the Williamsburg Bridge. When you coming off Williamsburg Bridge, y'all remember in New York City, I lit the damn thing up. Great big ass billboard, couldn't miss it. Here's my welcome to Manhattan sign. Thanks, Governor Cuomo. A year later, where was he? Out of office. Up there in the top right-hand corner, remember in the middle of the George Floyd uprisings, Keisha Bottom B was playing around. The mayor of Atlanta, Keisha Bottom B, was bull-jiving around. And I said, you know what? Let me let her know in front of the world that she does not have unified support. Bought a couple of big-ass billboards in Atlanta with my own money. My money. I didn't hold a crowdfunding. Son, I didn't have to hold a crowdfunding, kid. Somebody who knows how to do business gets things done. But by the way, didn't have to call a rapper, didn't have to hold a crowdfunding, son. Can't call you junior. Can't call you junior. You don't represent. Can't call you junior. But I will call you son. Top right-hand corner. Mayor Bottoms, reparations or resign. We all know what happened. There were no reparations. We all know what she had to do. She wound up resigning. So far, Jason Black's 2 for 2. Lori Lightfoot's the last one left. Upper left-hand corner, from politics to police. You all, if you can't see that clearly over there, it says, where are the good cops to call out the bad. Remember, I put them on the 2 busiest freeways in Dallas, Texas. After Amber Geiger had gunned down Botham Jean in his living room with a bowl of ice cream. Literally gunned him down. And before the trial could even get started, I said, we need to make an example and we need to set the tone. So because I have spent years spending money with Lamar billboards, Lamar who put up free Back the Badge billboards, free Blue Lives Matter billboards around the country. Well, I was able to negotiate with them. I was able to go back and forth with them. And that was the sign that went up in Dallas, Texas. And they knew what I was doing. But I had years of experience, years of connections, years of time. And that was what I did with my money. We couldn't hold a crowdfunding. We needed to get started on it immediately. Couldn't hold no crowdfunding. So you see, if I didn't actually have the money, it wasn't going to happen. We had to get it done right then. I do good business. I've got resources. I've got 20 years of doing this. I'm not some internet fake. The money is there. I got to work on it. I told y'all I don't want y'all's help. I don't need your help. I'm going to make it pop off. Next thing you know, this set the tone for that trial. And before it was over, I told y'all Amber Geiger is going to do time. This will not be Geronimo Yanez. She's going to get convicted and she will do time. And did I call it or did I call it? But that was because of all the work we did before. I got called by 2 radio stations in Dallas, Texas. Dallas, Texas, the 2 morning shows in Dallas, Texas called me. They called me to find out about the billboards. I told them I'd agree to be on their programs, and then they canceled. I think they were just trying to figure out if we were real and if we would actually back it up. And when they found out we would, then they backed down. Same thing happened in Atlanta. I got called by one radio morning show there in Atlanta. Some white dude on AM radio, AM or FM radio, some white dude. And I told him I'd be on. He backed out. So I guess they were just kind of filling us out to see whether or not that was going to happen. I didn't wait for somebody else to do nothing. You know why? Because I already did it. I am a successful enterprise. Success, sir. I am a successful enterprise. You are an unsuccessful enterprise. That's the difference between you and me, lame. We ain't the same. You still chasing dreams. I caught mine a while ago. And you hating and angry. If you would sit down at the feet of the people who know what's going on, you might be able to get out of that damn ditch you in. But you're going to have to drop the whole energy. They ain't going to make it. As you all know, the billboards went up. Amber Geiger went down. She doing a 10-year bid. When everybody was talking about she's going to get off, and we stayed consistent. We set the tone from the very beginning. And we stayed consistent. That's not rappers. That's not relationships. That's not high value. That's not red pill. That's black empowerment. Something I've been on for over a decade and a half. Something you ain't got no credibility and you got no status in. And you're hating on the folks who do have it. Dude, this is lame, Lane. This is lame. So you wanted to be promoted. You've been promoted now. You wanted people to know who you were. Well, they certainly know who you are now. You wanted folk to know about your work. Well, they certainly know about your work now. They certainly know all about you now. You're welcome, lame. But I suppose we shouldn't be surprised. Folks who can actually make it pop off are always going to be hated on by folks who can't make it happen. Folks who can't make it happen are always going to hate on those who can. Folks who are still sitting and running in place are always going to tell you that running in place was the plan the whole time. You come back a year later, they're sitting where you left them. 5 years later, they're sitting where you left them. Then they're telling you this was all the plan. But they sitting up bumping their gums about somebody who's moving. I didn't have to wait for anybody to make a move on this. I made the move myself. That's the kind of man you'll never be. Now, you all can sit here and gossip with the man babies and the ho boys on the internet. Go ahead and do that, because that's what they do. They sit up here and gossip about other men who don't know they exist, but sitting up here like a hoe about what we need to do for them. See, the problem is, I'm going to say it, the problem is they used to a man sitting up here doing something for their mama. That's what they're used to. They're used to a man doing something for their mama. They're used to seeing that happen. They're used to seeing something like that occur. And then when it doesn't occur, they're like, oh, hell. See, the problem is, dude, you've been hanging out with hoes so much. The hoes get results and you don't. Now you coming up to us and saying, well, if I was a hoe, would I get better results? I don't know. Maybe you would. I will tell you one thing, it ain't gonna work for you. It's not gonna work for you. All that hating you've been doing, all the little haters out there and whatnot, just understand something. You running in place for a reason. You're running in place for a reason. There's a reason why you running in place. The females around you do not trust you with their financial future because they know you don't have a vision. They know you're not making progress. She knows she's going to be working the rest of her days if she get with you, so you don't get that kind of respect. So you're hating on dudes who made things scale up. What you need to be doing is sitting down, shutting the hell up, be quiet. What my man WC say, can't do nothing but shut the hell up and salute me, nigga. So you can actually get gamed up by somebody who can sit here and pat you on the head like Elroy and finish your damn home training and show you how a man moves in the environment. I'll be damned if I'm ever gonna be anywhere posted up talking about, boy, you know, if only we could get these other folks over here to give us some money. You know, they ain't doing enough for us. I pointed out about Eddie Griffith. Eddie Griffith didn't stop nothing from rolling. Eddie Griffith did not stop a damn thing from moving. We mentioned that and kept on going. We've been doing just fine. How about Eddie? How's Eddie doing lately, by the way? I'll wait. So just understand, folks, understand the difference between genuine grit and genuine gossip. Understand the difference between genuine grit and genuine gossip and genuine grind. It is what it is. It is what it is. However, you might disagree. Therefore, the telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933, your personal access code to the program that lames, losers, and folks from backstabbing cultures who've been running in place and still sideline hating, sitting on my friends list and hating. We see you. You're losing the game. We see you. It's all good, baby. It's all good. Want to send a shout out to everybody who has contributed to support tonight's program here on PayPal, Cash App, Super Chat. Tommy Felix, Burn Rubber. I just missed somebody's name there, but thank you very much for supporting tonight's program. We appreciate that. We are going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. When we come back, by the way, let me see if Lame is one of the advertisers. Let's see. When we come back, we'll take your phone calls. This is the Black Channel.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. My name is Joe Jackson. I'm a foundational Black American, and I entered the field of IT with the goal of helping the family globally. The industry's been changing, and I've learned a lot. But how did we get here? How do we navigate issues we face in the workplace? How can we get our house in order? Read The Concept and Intricacies of Being Black in IT, now on Amazon, as well as the best-selling Guide to Being Black in IT. Go to beingblackInIT.com.
Higher Life Recruiting and Consulting specializes in direct placement. If your company is looking to hire top talent, or you are looking to start a new career, our network of professional recruiters can help. We provide recruiting, LinkedIn lead generation, access to our professional network, paid job postings, interviewing, and more. Check out our specialized services: information technology recruiting, STEM career consulting, sales recruiting, hiring process consulting for your business, resume writing, LinkedIn profile consultation. Follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn and get higher with us.
Girl, I am so tired of Twitter and TikTok. We need something just for us.
Yeah, and I would post on 6 Zeros, but they don't have a mobile app.
That's a lie. 6 Zeros actually does have a mobile app. It's available on iOS and Android. That's your phone?
Yeah.
That is humongous.
Anyway.
6 Zeros is where the Black community taps into unfiltered and authentic conversations on the topics we know and love. I gotta get out of here. But remember, don't just sign up.
We know. House.
P23 lines can help you find your flow. Revolutionizing healthcare to self-care. P23, making a healthier
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slaveries and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is The Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority, and the telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-771933. That's 646-771933. Your personal access code to the Black media. Let's be very, very clear here, folks. When you actually building something of your own, you ain't really got time to sit up here and be bird dogging other people who don't know you exist like that. You ain't got time for that. I talk about the news that's relevant. I don't talk about how another man didn't do something for me that I could do for myself. Although I guess if you can't do it for yourself, you're going to hate. That's the difference between us and everybody else. When you're talking about freedmen, we sit up here and build things straight out of slavery. With all the chips stacked against us and all the odds stacked against us, and still made it happen. Reconstruction, Jim Crow, segregation. We still make it happen. We're sitting up here showing the trend and showing the model to everybody else about how to have it done. You damn right, you better put some respect on our name. You better put the respect on the name, but otherwise keep the name out your mouth. Dude, we ain't running buddies. We ain't going in the same direction. I'm not talking about ancient history. I'm talking about today. I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about right now. We talking about business, haters talking about us. You all better start curating who you got around there. Don't get me wrong. See, there's been a whole bunch of folks here who understand that at the end of the day, we're saying, not only are we saying that there's something that we're owed, but you got to be somebody who can make it happen. Are you somebody who makes things happen? Are you somebody who makes things occur? Do you have a pedigree for doing that? I've told you all what the standard is. Are you somebody who knows how to turn $1 into $2 on a consistent basis? Or are you 40 and 50 years old and still ain't worked it out yet? And you mad at those who do? And your broad knows what's happening, but you feel some kind of way. Stop sitting up here speaking on other men. Build what you got so you can actually speak on what you're doing. Go ahead and speak on that. Hard to eat when you're looking at another man's plate, but I suppose if there's nothing on your plate, all you can do is look at everybody else like Goofy. But go on, haters, you're going to do what you do. That includes you, Faison. But the telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. If you have been instructed by my mods to call in, that was not a request. That is an order. That is an order. We've been holding it down all this time. Who the hell are you to speak on us? We've been the ones holding this down all this time. Y'all the ones with questionable backgrounds. Statements big up in white supremacy. Statements sitting up here distinguishing yourselves. Statements sitting up here off code. Y'all the ones got that issue, not us. You're the ones looking for somebody to carry you, not us. If you actually build something, you'll have something actually constructive to talk about. But it'd be the first time in your life and in your family, so I can imagine this is new. Let me get caller from area code 704. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, this is Lanisa calling from Concord, North Carolina.
Lanisa from Concord. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I was just wanting to say to all the people that believe that we taking a stand for requesting and demanding reparations, that we're begging and we're just trying to get free money, that is disrespectful, not only to us, but to our ancestors. Our ancestors worked for free for over 400 years. They got no bonuses. They got no retirement plan. They got no nothing. How would you like if somebody were to tell you, we'll give you a job, for those of you who disagree with it, but we're not going to pay you, but you still got to work for us? It is time for us as foundational Black Americans to be owed for all the hard work that was put in to build up this country. And I just wanted to add to that, because those who try to speak on us about what we don't deserve and we don't need no reparations, that is just downright a slap in our face. You might as well be spitting in our face. Our ancestors worked and didn't get a dime, even when they were told by their slave masters to leave. Bye. They didn't get nothing to take with them but the rags they had on their back.
Well, not only that,
for our people to get our
not only that, everything that's happened since then has been a consequence of what happened then. Because generational wealth is passed down, but guess what? So is generational poverty. So when you got folks who were given land, given resources, and then given your labor, they basically were set up like rich folk. How the hell could they not succeed? It would be a shame if they couldn't under those circumstances. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. On top of other things here, I got to say right now, there's a reason why some of y'all might feel some kind of way. Because you see, when you hear us talk like this, what we talk about is different. How we sound is different. And there's a reason why some of y'all who come from some of the backstabbing cultures got an issue with that. Because things, I mean, I ain't trying to say nothing bad on nobody, but you know, sometimes I see certain things, I see some of this stuff, and I be like, what in the world? What is going on? What is happening here? Is he supposed to be dancing, or is he having an epileptic seizure standing up? And the music is all strange and things. I'm like, okay, it ain't hyped or nothing. The music is all weird, but okay. It's all strange and weird, but all right. Fine. Hey, do what y'all do. Go ahead. But then again, maybe there's other things I don't understand. Like, for example, you got to understand, see, my legs ain't silky smooth like this. By the way, this was from Roland's Instagram. My legs ain't all silky smooth like that. There's some folks who might feel some kind of way about it. I got to tell y'all, my legs ain't all oily or oiled up and shining and sheening and silky smooth and all nared. Old boy look like he's using what, the Venus razor? These niggas built different. These niggas built different. I'm just saying, they built different over there. They doing something different now. So between that and some of the other stuff I seen, I'm like, okay, well, I don't know if we can join up like this. Y'all think you're lit. I mean, he thinks this is lit. They think this is lit, all the way lit. Not mostly, they think it's all the way lit. I mean, they think they juking. They think they got it going. And I'm just like, okay. All right. No wonder some of them got more in common with the dominant society than us. Cause I'm like, okay, I'm looking at what's going on here, and I'm like, okay, what kind of dancing y'all doing? Damn, nice abs, but what kind of dancing you doing? All right. I mean, everybody's sitting up here doing the mayonnaise mambo. What's happening? Everybody except Roland. He looks like he's having gastrointestinal issues, but really? What's she doing with the light? And what is this? Jazzercise? All right, fine. Telephone lines are now open. Phone lines are, we're going to take our lead from them. Folks, we're going to take our lead from them. We're going to take our lead from them. That's what we doing? Call America code 929. You're on live with the business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Jason, this is Daryl from Chicago.
Daryl from Chicago. What's on your mind?
Jason, this is a dynamite broadcast, yesterday's and today's. You know, you have said on numerous amount of occasions, and I have my nephews listening to the broadcast as we speak, and we just want to thank you for everything that you've done. But they understand what reparations is really about because we explained it to them, but you've been in depth on numerous amount of occasions. And it's for the stuff here, these people that are call themselves representing us, they can't represent us in doing nothing. We set the tone. Everybody's got the plan. They understand the agenda, and they understand exactly how to stay on code. And as long as we stay on code, this is going to trump all of that stuff. So I'm thankful for that. And thank you again for being on point, all the new black media. Be one.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 341. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Tony from Union City.
Okay, Tony from Union City. What's on your mind?
The bottom line is, Jay, they scared of us. I don't know how this reception is on this phone, but I already figured this shit out a long time ago. And they know if they give us reparation, that they ain't going to be able to control us, and we're going to take off like a damn rocket. So I don't know what my people's problem is, realizing that everybody on this planet is scared of us because they know we are point setters. We do the damn thing. We make shit happen. Everybody follows our lead. So we having a hard time with this reparation is because once we get it, nobody's going to be able to control us on this planet, and everybody going to be trying to be like us, and we ain't going to have that.
I've told people for years, if folk want to know why it is that we have such a disconnect with so many people outside of America in the diaspora, it's like, what in the world? They're all fighting to get away from where they're at. They're trying to get away from where they are and to go somewhere else, Europe or America. And it all comes down to one thing. There's only one thing. All the natural resources you have in all these places they're from, Jamaica, the Dominican Republic, Cuba, Africa. What is it that America and Europe got that those places don't have? Plenty of white women. Now, that's the one thing that we do have in North America, in Europe, that they don't have in Africa, the Caribbean. You got plenty of white women. And what I'm saying is that is the priority. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller area code 929. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello?
Yes, you're on live. Put down the Joloff. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Oh, my name's DeMarcus. I'm from New York, Bronx, and I want to talk about this reparations. Y'all do not deserve reparation. I'm black. Y'all need to get a damn job.
Okay. And where are your people from?
My people are black, and they're black Americans.
No.
Y'all do not deserve reparations.
You have an accent. No, sir. You have an accent. You have an accent, sir.
Y'all say that the government...
You have a Dominican accent, sir. Where are your people from?
I'm black American. My mom was New York. My dad is New York.
No,
I'm
sir.
black. I'm a black American.
Sir,
I'm telling y'all, do not deserve reparations.
You have a Dominican lisp.
Y'all are saying that
you have a Dominican lisp.
The black family.
You have a Dominican lisp, sir. You're not.
I'm not Dominican. I am American.
If you were, first of all, you wouldn't have been saying y'all don't. You would have said we don't.
Yeah, I'm saying y'all because fundamental black American is racist to all races.
Oh, so foundational black American is racist to all races?
Yes.
And how, oh boy, for a person who claims he's not an immigrant, you sure are talking exactly like one. Couldn't help but notice.
Well, I don't need to prove that. I know that I'm black. Listen, you and Tyreek and the other probably black people in the community are the reason why black people cannot progress. Y'all are demanding reparation from the government. Instead of doing that, how come you can't just, work together and build programs for black people and teach financial literacy to them? And that can help them build general wealth. Why can't we just do that instead of demanding from the government?
Build general wealth. Okay. I think you mean generational wealth. First of all. Second of all, we have done that. Second of all, we have done that here. As I said at the beginning of the program, you might have missed it while you were using Skype to call back to the island. But I've been doing that for over a decade and a half. If I opened up the phone lines and said, every person who I've helped you to double and triple your income, call in, the phone lines will be jammed for weeks. So you're way behind. You're way uninformed and way behind. But the other thing is, this is what we are owed. We have been owed that for a while. The real thing is when your people came here, why is it that they didn't build up where they came from?
Can you repeat that question one more time? I kind of broke up
when your folks immigrated here, why didn't they build up where they were from? Why they come here to eat off of us?
Again, I'm black American.
No, you're not.
Again.
You're a naturalized citizen, but you are not a foundational. You do not have your lineage here in the United States. No, you don't.
Sir, I literally am black. You say I'm Dominican, but I'm not. I have no Dominican in my DNA whatsoever. I am black American.
Do you realize how many simple 3-syllable words you have mangled since you've been on this phone? That's immigrant English. English is not your first language.
Oh my God.
English is not your first language.
Fine, I'm Cuban.
English is not your first language, and heterosexuality is not your first orientation.
Cool, whatever. Like I said, y'all do not deserve reparation. You guys are just hurting people with this. You know that people are going to have to pay from this through their taxes, right?
Okay.
Even the hardworking black people.
Sir, we were the ones who built a country that they could get taxes from. So, yeah.
And I get that. Yes, y'all did. But everybody contribute. White people, Hispanic people,
and
Asian
they were all compensated for what they did.
But I get that also.
Okay,
But how
we
you know
we
you're
were
able
not
to
we
replace-
were not compensated for what we did. That's the difference. So that's why we're owed.
No, you do not. No. Listen, how about instead of demanding reparation, build programs again?
Sir, you have to have resources to build programs. You're not a very bright guy.
This is going nowhere. Well, I gotta make a video on y'all because at the end of the day, what y'all doing is black supremacy. This is the rise of black supremacy in America.
Wow. Sir, seriously though, but for the LGBT...
I hope y'all don't get that reparation at all. And I want to say that
for the
to
LGBT community, sir, for the LGBT community, why is it that you don't want us to have reparations?
I'm not LGBT. I'm not saying that. Like, where the hell? First of all, I don't support drag race. I don't support transitioning of young minors. I do not support that.
Did he just say I don't support?
Nobody.
Did he just say I don't support drag race? Did he literally just say I don't support? Do you mean like you don't support drag racing?
You know, drag racing with males, you know, dress up as women. Hello?
Yes, sir. Drag racing? Y'all, he's got me stumbling and stuttering.
Drag race.
Yes,
drag.
Okay, that's exactly what he said there. Yeah, I mean, brother, I'm assuming, I don't even know what's going on here. Brother, there's drag shows and there's drag races, and I suppose if you call the race a show, then I suppose a drag race could be called a drag show, but there's two different types of drag and two different types of show. Brother, drag race? What do they do at the drag race, sir?
Drag show. Since you want to correct me, drag show, you already know what I mean. Oh, wow. Wow.
Brother, I'm trying to figure out where we at. You have entered a dimension of moist and sound, of silliness and segregation, of drag shows, drag racing, and anything else you want to stew up in here. Welcome to the buffoon zone.
You know, I'm just going to get off and let other people say, you know, that they need reparations, but I know that there's some black people who agree with me.
I'm sure there are at the drag race. I'm certain there are at the drag race.
Very funny.
Brother, you have been the biggest promotion of our point of view I could have had. I want to thank you for calling in. You are the best argument for us getting reparations that's come out of New York in a very long time. I'm going to keep this call.
Also, white supremacy won't let them bye.
I'm going to keep this call. Yeah. In the chat room, the moist and the restless. Yeah. Folks, if you want to know why we need to get reparations, that phone call. Caller from area code 415. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Don P. calling from San Francisco.
Don from San Francisco. What's on your mind?
I'm glad I waited. I'm glad I waited to call tonight. Last night was interesting. But tonight, man, if these super coons don't go sit their tail down somewhere, folks got to realize that they are the shield for the establishment that has created this great dissension, because the big game is this. That continent has all the resources, and their people, they don't have the prowess to really get down with it. And so they have kept us separate through all their propaganda. Now, there's one particular people I'm talking about, and they control everything. But they've kept us separate so that they could rape the land. But they know that, like, brothers like you, brothers like me, let us get over there with some resources and show our brothers and sisters how to really get down. But see, this is why they always try to keep money out of the hands of black people and try to destroy our nucleus, which they've done a very good job of. And yes, I was thinking the same thing you was saying about the caller, and I was going to mention that. That one went in so hard, made me forget about my comment about the caller before. Because, see, they get their paid agents, they blue check folk, to run interference. And I think you named like 5 countries.
I think you're like me, Don.
Why is it they always...
It's one of those things that kind of is just, the level of ignorance is absolutely shocking and stunning. It's just like, are we even on the same planet? Short answer, we're not. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller Miracle 341. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Caller from Miracle 341. Last try. You're on live. Caller from 341 is late on the draw. Caller from Miracle 443. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, Justin, this is Immigrant B1 from Fort Gordon in Georgia.
My man, Immigrant B1, what's on your mind?
I know this is probably not going to make a difference, but I feel like I need to apologize on behalf of all the weird immigrants, I guess, the others, because I don't understand this idea.
I want to apologize for the
because I don't understand this idea of, getting into another grown man's business about what he's owed. Like, if you don't care for them, just ignore them. Why would you sit and mind someone else's business when they're talking about the money that they're supposed to get, which they've more than earned? Like, instead of focusing on what you're doing and getting better at whatever it is that you want to do, you're not supposed to be sitting around trying to undermine someone else who has earned what they're asking for, what they're demanding, after all the work that they've put in.
Yeah,
so
that's the thing that we're really talking about here is that, hey, here's the bottom line. We got to whoop these niggas into shape. Welcome to boot camp. We got to whoop them into shape. We ain't doing this begging hand over fist and all this old garbage right here. No, it's do or die time. So all this stuff they used to doing and whatnot, all this bootlicking, butt dancing, butt kissing. Look here, the bottom line is if you had the heart and it was built in you, Jamaica would be built out and we'd be coming over there. Haiti would be built out and we'd be coming over there. Dominican Republic would be built out and we'd be coming over there. They're sitting up here dying to get to the southern tip of Florida now. Dying. In trash can boats. Yeah. And we're like, hey, the only difference, let me make sure. Well, I can't say the only difference. The biggest difference between the Faison loves and us is that when we were faced with a tyrannical white government, we stood 10 toes down and did not budge. That's the difference. We didn't run nowhere. We didn't flee the continent. There was no mass migration of former slaves trying to get out of here. You had a few hustle their way up to Canada, and that was it. Everybody else stood firm here. Even the ones who went to Canada found out they had another damn thing coming. But we stood firm. That is our culture. A culture of resistance, not a culture of fleeing, backstabbing, dishonesty, dishonorability. You can't stick together. He talking about the Bronx. The Bronx is the biggest epicenter of crime in New York right now. Ain't dissing nobody, ain't dissing nobody, ain't dissing nobody. But the Dominican presence is strong in the Bronx. The Dominican presence is strong in the Bronx. But you're not on the same page. You don't have a code. It's every man and every woman for themselves. So we here to put boots down. Welcome to boot camp. We're not listening to the excuses. We ain't taking it. They're not used to somebody saying these the rules. That's why they're trying to hook up with white mommy and white daddy so they can sit up here and try to destabilize what we doing. That's what they keep doing over and over again. They're not used to somebody saying that this is the code. This is why generation after generation doesn't get any better. The only thing they're really priding themselves on is getting sexual access. Bunch of bastard kids, no wealth. So that's where the difference comes. We ain't running nowhere. We had every opportunity. America attempted to force it to happen. How many places in Africa did America create for the purposes of shipping us out? Liberia is just one. There was a whole goal. They wanted to send us to Liberia. They wanted to send us to Mexico. They wanted to send us to Haiti. They were trying to just say, hey, anywhere and everywhere you'll go. Free tickets. Free tickets. Free smoke. The only difference is we weren't interested in leaving. We weren't interested in leaving. That's the difference. We said, no, we gonna stand. You know what they did? The great betrayal. You know what they did? Lynching as a way of life. You know what they did? Slave reclamation. The prison industrial complex. The bombing of every black enclave in America. That's what they did. That didn't just happen for a day or a week. That was just the way it is. That was just the way it is. And that didn't stop happening wholesale. It didn't stop happening wholesale until the last 40 years. We've only had about 30 or 40 years where it wasn't legal to lynch us in the damn streets unless you're a police officer or a group of white people who are not on camera. Sometimes even if you are. The difference is we stood. The difference is we wouldn't budge and we wouldn't run. And before anybody else, I had to remind you before anybody tries to say that, well, Jason, they ran from the South up north. No, they didn't, because white supremacy is national. Nobody who left the South was leaving the South to get away from white supremacy. There was white supremacy in Detroit, in Motown, just like there was in Mississippi. The difference was there was a better economy in Motown than there was in Mississippi. There was a better economy in Beverly Hills than there was in Biloxi. You gonna deal with white supremacy in either place, might as well get a bigger paycheck for it. That was the only difference. Nobody was leaving Louisiana to get away from white supremacy. They left knowing we're going white supremacy in Louisiana, white supremacy in California. They just got a better economy out there. That's the way it's always been. You know what didn't happen? Nobody left Louisiana to go to Liberia. That's the difference. Even today, folks are sitting up here, y'all need to come to Africa, this, that, and the other. You don't see none of us availing ourselves. Ooh, the dollar will go further. Passport bros and everything else. There's no movement. It is not in our culture to run. And let me say this. Sometimes it's bad strategy, but it is part of the culture too. When the police try to jack black folks up, you get people who say, hey, get y'all's hands off me. That's the culture of resistance. That's the culture of resistance. Now, sometimes it might be ill-advised, but I understand it. That's the culture of resistance. Y'all got videos of them sitting over here beating the brakes off of black folk over there in Africa, and they either giggling or running away. 50 of them, 2 Indians whacking folk with branches, and they're running. We have a culture of resistance. The George Floyd uprisings were a testament to that culture of resistance. Everybody everywhere across America all of a sudden got on code. And what we're saying is that all these off-code people, we are letting them know, in the words of our immortal elder and ancestor, Dr. John Henry Clark, it is time to get your house in order. Your house is out of order. You're out of line. It's raggedy. You have no code. You have a backstabbing culture. And it is time for you to let that obsolete, failed culture go. But you will not get protection and provision from us as a result. I'll let you have the last word.
I just want to say that I'm very grateful that I got to be alive while you and Professor Blackthroat and Tariq Nasheed were, and I'm happy that I continue to learn from you guys every week. Be one.
Black First, brother, thank you very much. We're going to get you ganged up. Let me get caller from area code 267. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yes, this is Tammy from Williamsport. Evening. Yes, I would like to say I agree with you with a lot of the Black immigrants have a backstabbing culture. A lot of them, the funniest thing is, I think that what happens because I have a background, rejecting who they are on. So they somewhat feel like a threat because a lot of them are running from not only from their own country, but they're running from their own family. I have some in-laws who have to get away because their own family's trying to kill them. So, a lot of this hatred, or I would say more jealousy. Jealousy is because they're defeated. Now, my mom works in the business as a head chef, and they treat her like crap. And I asked her, why you even allow this? Because she was telling me how the Black Americans stuff, and I asked her, why don't you do the same thing? And I said, these people are racist, and you don't, stand up for yourself. And she basically said, I've been dealing with this since we came to this country. And it doesn't even make sense.
Well, just because you've been dealing with it doesn't make it okay. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 412. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Jason, my name is Renee. How are you?
Hello, Renee. Where are you calling from?
Well, I'm calling from Pennsylvania. I'm calling from Pittsburgh. How are you today?
All right. What's on your mind?
I'm enjoying your broadcast, but Jason, we're talking about who we're going to bring to the reparation table. This TikTok generation is not the ones. We're fighting so hard to get the reparations, to get the money, but how do you think they're going to reciprocate that if they're not helping us to get there? They're going to go out there and spend their money on weed, stripper, and whatever. How are we going to get them to get where we're at? Because it is so hard to talk to this generation, Jason, and we're fighting, we're screaming, we're not screaming, but I tell them to read history, and they don't. So I'm trying to understand how we're going to get them there, because we know where they're going to give the money to. Either they're going to give the money to the snow bunny or the white man, or oh no, we don't need reparations because everybody's all races equal. How are we going to do that? Because this is what my struggle is right now. Because we know they're going to go spend money on the Cadillac weed, and they're going to money right back to the white man or white corporations.
Well,
TikTok generation is so different than us.
All right, ma'am.
We just don't know how
you're
to
going on for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I will say one thing. Can you give me three short suggestions? Don't go on a lecture. Give me the top three things that you think the TikTok generation should quote unquote spend their money on or invest in if they get reparations.
They should invest in businesses, Jason.
Okay, businesses is a metaphor. Businesses is a metaphor. Community is a metaphor. Be specific.
Mm-hmm. Well, built for themselves, Jason. Have a home. Okay. Have something that
may I make a suggestion?
Go ahead. Sure.
Perhaps you can help by setting an example.
Yeah.
Are you in favor of reparations?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
100%.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Because maybe we can start by you spending it on a 9-volt battery for that smoke alarm back there.
Oh, yeah.
While you're worried about Generation TikTok, you need to be worried about Generation's First Alert. That's what you need to be looking at. This is what I mean. Everybody got their eyes on every damn body else. If you had a fire in that home tonight, it's 50-50 money that you can make it out alive. You weren't about the TikTok generation who could at least
Jason,
are at least physically fit enough. Ma'am, they are at least. Ma'am, we're not going to do that. We're not going to talk over the host, ma'am.
Right.
We're not going to do that.
About reparations.
Okay, ma'am, we're not going to do that. We're not going to talk over the host. We're not going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, while you're worried about the teenagers who at least are physically fit enough to be able to hop out the window,
meanwhile, they're in their 20s and 30s.
They're physically fit enough to hop out the window. Meanwhile, your business where you at is not taken care of in real time in front of everybody who are listening right now. Your business ain't together, and you worried about what they gonna spend their money on. You need to take care of your business now. You're Exhibit A for not pocket watching nobody else. This is exactly what I mean. Folks whose situation is raggedy is trying to tell everybody else what they need to do.
Mine is not raggedy, Jason. I haven't been as I have people to work for me, and I talked about reparations.
Okay, ma'am, you haven't talked about a battery for your smoke alarm. That you haven't talked about.
It's not a battery. My house is electric. It's wired through my home. I have to hit the breaker off for it to stop.
Okay, well then that takes flipping
the breaker off.
That takes flipping a switch. That should be driving you out of your mind hearing that all the time. So what I'm saying is, before you sit up here and think, before you tell yourself you're gonna lecture Generation TikTok, you need to get your house in order. Literally.
My house is in order, Jason. I have my own business, and my house is very much in order.
And if you had a fire, it's 50-50 money if the smoke alarm would tell you.
So
if you had a fire, it is 50. Ma'am, if you had a fire, it is 50-50 money if it would work.
It just went off.
Okay. Folks, I'm letting her go because that's what I mean. Some of these folks here, they just talk to be talking. She didn't even understand. I heard it the first time she got on the phone. First time she got on there, I heard that first chirp, and I'm like, wait a minute. You gonna lecture the kids? Shout out Jerome M in the super chat. I see you representing. We holding it down. This is what I mean. I don't want to hear no old niggas talking about the kids. Generation TikTok, at least they would have changed the damn battery. You sitting here acting like you've got authority or justification to sit up here and criticize them. She's trying to talk about the young people in their 20s. I run a business, and you ain't even changing out the battery in your smoke alarm. How you do one thing is how you do all things. So if you are this negligent about the battery, no, I don't believe it's wired up in your home, you liar. If you're this negligent about the battery in your smoke alarm, what the hell makes you think you got any credibility or credentials to sit up here and tell the young people what they gonna do? See, I ride for the young folk. I ride for them against these old niggas who don't have a clue and don't have a plan. They don't, because I want you all to understand what she really was just saying. She's right there with Faison. They don't need no reparations. What about you? Oh, I do. But y'all over there, y'all don't need none. You ain't gonna spend it on anything worthwhile. Meanwhile, she's not spending her money on a battery to keep herself alive in the event of an emergency. In the event of an emergency, she's not taking care of her basic home maintenance and then telling us that she is gonna lecture Generation TikTok on what they need to do. Amazing. Call from area code 804. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yes, Jason Black. This is Kendall from Richmond, Virginia.
Kendall from Richmond. What's on your mind?
Yes. So I was grocery shopping, and I happened to be listening to Tariq Nasheed without a Bluetooth or something. And I'm in the line, so this foreign dude, I don't know, some foreign white dude, he said, "Ooh, you're listening to Tariq Nasheed." I was like, "Yeah." I said, "Do you like him?" He said, "No." I was like, "Dude, did he say anything wrong?" Blah, blah, blah. And he was like, "Well, He didn't respond to that. I was like, did he do anything wrong? He didn't respond. But people are on the new black media. You guys' voices are real. Don't try to fake us out. Y'all voices are real, and I love it. That's all I wanted to say, sir.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. You know, like I say, y'all are hearing the phrase cut the check. Cut the check is everywhere. Cut the check set the narrative nationally. I was looking for a way in which we could deal with reparations, so it didn't matter whether you were the smartest academic or maybe the not so well educated from the lowest rung of society, that everybody could understand what the agenda was. So when we said reparations, I gave it to them in a form that was easily transportable and easily comprehended. Cut the check. What is reparations? Cut the check. Cut a check? That's money. Cash payments. Because most people were very coy about saying cash money. They were very coy about saying cash payments. Sonny Hostin, when she sat there in front of Bernie Sanders, she was very, very hesitant to say that. So when I saw that, I said somebody needs to come up with a phrase that allows people to say it needs to be cash payments, but folk are very coy about that. But I know my people, so I said cut the check. Hey, reparations, time to cut the check. Break my bread. Folks glummed on to that. It caught on like wildfire. It said everywhere. Everyone from Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Tom Steyer, ABC, everybody's saying cut the check now. The agenda is clear. The agenda is clear. Roland Martin didn't say that. Cobra didn't say that. Joy Reid didn't say that. They said we need diplomas and student loan forgiveness. We said cut the check, and it set the model and the narrative that everyone is using today. That is the new black media. Everybody with MSNBC and CNN, they didn't create anything that the people could rally around. We did. Even James Clyburn earlier this year, y'all saw when we rolled up on him. That's why folks need to have their talking points together. We rolled up on him and said it's time to cut the check. Why y'all effing with me? And he already knew about cut the check. That tells you he already knew about cut the check. That tells you just how far this has gone. They know they're trying to figure out how to fight it. It's not that they don't know what we're saying over here. They're trying to figure out how to circumvent it and fight it and resist it. But the message has gotten through. We're just coming here every day to come beat it home. Call from America 305. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
TVA, what they do. This your boy One Love 305 out of Miami, up here freezing my ass off in Alabama.
My man up here in Miami, what's on your line, One Love?
Yeah, man, 2 quick points, man. One is, just as a former firefighter, it's not that smoke alarm. That's not just a telltale single women. It's dead. You know, I had my house fire. So all the investigation was done. Found out it was a wiring in the attic. Put you in smoke alarm. No smoke alarm. 4 hours on fire. That just worked to rise. Just a real quick tip for y'all. But the irony of your boy Faison on what he was saying, man, it just hits on what Neely Fuller always said about white supremacy, taking both sides of the argument. Now, FBA put him on. Shout out to Cube. That's who put him on. The character he played in Friday, Big Worm. What Big Worm wanted? His money. Now, see, that's another shout out to Neely Fuller. You just asked me white supremacist questions. He wanted his money. And he was a dope dealer. Another thing I know about firsthand. So you gonna try to tell me, Faison, your little nickname, Mr. Langston, how the hell you gonna say you owe me money and I get to tell you, okay, I give you your money through tax exemption. So you go work for me. You go work for me, and then I'll give you your money. because that's essentially what he was saying for tax exemption. In order to get tax exemption, you got to work. Y'all owe me this money. So if I owe you, he's telling you to go work for them. Ain't that a fat ass bitch?
I couldn't agree with you more. Thank you very much for giving this call, Night One Love. Let me get caller from area code 708. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This Sean, Chicago.
Okay, Sean in Chicago. And what's on your mind?
For the reparations, we appreciate your footwork, and on behalf of getting us reparations, they should have a checklist about reparations if they want to get the money, land, or gold. For the money, 230-some thousand isn't a lot. Like you said, in California, that's hard to get a house and a car. That's about it. If they do the land, like the 40 acres and a mule, you could basically put 40, and it has to be tax exempt for the land. With 40 acres and a mule, you could probably put 40 families on there, or a business, or modular homes with 40 people on there, like your closest family and friends on the 40 acres. So I think it should be a checklist. That way the people won't be wondering about what somebody else doing with what they get. That was all I was saying.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. If you all been listening here, I was supposed to have the music actually muted for Roland. I was supposed to actually have the music muted. So if it's been cutting in for you all there on my end, I wasn't hearing it. So it wasn't supposed to actually be playing the music anymore. It wasn't supposed to be playing the music anymore. It was supposed to be, it wasn't supposed to actually be playing the music anymore. So if it was cutting over my callers there, definitely my apologies for that. Didn't mean for that to be happening. Let me get call from area code 630. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, Jason. This is Nick from Chicago by way of Houston.
All right, Nick from Chicago. What's on your mind?
Yeah, 2 points. And that one caller earlier just kind of threw me for a loop. But the first one is Bernie Sanders kind of prepped up the whole field about what is reparations when they asked him, hey, do you support reparations? And then he kind of threw that out a few years ago as a little dog whistle out for ahead of time, saying, well, what do you define as reparations? So now, since that was put out by him, now there are other front people basically trying to rewire and rework and redo reparations. Even Fox News calling that $55 billion, which they've been talking about that for the last 4 or 5 years for Africa. It wasn't part of some reparations thing. And so now that we have those little people, the front people like Bernie Sanders out there, we got people like like Faison and others that are saying, hey, nobody should get this. Nobody's pocket watching no other group. That's my response automatically when somebody says something. I immediately get extremely hostile to that person and just say, nobody's pocket watching. Because guess what? These frauds that come up, like the FTX thing, that dude was given billions of dollars based on completely hot air. Media coverage telling them that he's the second coming of JP Morgan. Just all of this free coverage when the dude's an obvious fraud, and then it comes down. That guy went from blew 40 billion.
Do you realize
same people that are saying,
do you realize how many times that's happened now, by the way? Think about how many times that's happened. You've had these crypto rug pulls all over the place. You know, you had this guy here with FTX. You had what's her name? Elizabeth Holmes with Theranos. Remember her? Billions of dollars.
Yeah.
For a supposed blood machine that could take just one drop of blood and would run all your stuff there. Nobody actually verified anything she did. She got hundreds of millions of dollars in investment from reputable firms, from reputable people. Bernie Madoff. I can keep going for this for a while. Do you realize Elizabeth Holmes ripped off more people than every black con artist you can name combined, including the immigrants? Including them. We never could have made it that far. We never would have made it that far. Not at all. What's that? The guy from Fire Festival. Billy, whatever his name is. I mean, we can keep going for a minute. We can keep going for a minute. we never would have made it that far. I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah, and those people that rip people off, they're not even really smart. They're just white. That's it. These people are not smart. They're not geniuses. These people they already got detected. Even Bernie Madoff, they knew about this dude 15 years in it. I remember reading about him, and they're like, wow, he really conned. No, these people at the SEC knew all about it. They knew all about it. And my last point here is that anybody that is coming from another location, whether they're half immigrant, whether they're full immigrant or something like that, that has any question, I immediately just refer to them to wherever they're from or any other place and say, guess what? Your location has all unlimited land. You got gold or other minerals on your place. And what has that done for you? Before you got something to say about us, why couldn't you do anything with your land? If land was so good, how come you can't do anything with it? Now, land my plane there.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. Now, let me get caller from area code 316. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yes. Can I speak?
Yes, you're on live. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Jason. My name is Vincent Panka. I'm calling from out of Nederland.
Okay, your name is what?
Vincent Panka.
Okay, Vincent Panka.
Yes. I'm calling from out of Nederland, and I have been following your shows for a long time. Because of people like you from FBA, I have learned a lot about what we should ask over here for reparations. Tomorrow, the Dutch government is going to apologize in Suriname, my country in South America, for their slave trade history. At this moment, we have a Hindustani president that tried to include his people who were contract workers came in Suriname after slavery, and now they try to benefit from our reparations that are right.
Okay, he's breaking up a bit. I'm going to try to stick with him.
What I would say is that next year I will.
Your transatlantic phone is his transatlantic phone is having some issues there, but definitely keep standing up for it there, brother. We appreciate you calling in. Try to see if you can get the satellite phone working a little bit better there. Let me get caller from area code 504. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good evening, brother Jason. This is G from New Orleans.
All right, G from New Orleans. What's on your mind?
Brother, I have a question and a comment. Why is it that anytime when it comes to trying to move us forward, we have Negroes or people who claim they identify as black but aren't, that will shit on every opportunity to push the needle forward, especially when it comes to getting the bag? I like Faison Love as a comedian. I like what he was saying, and he was one of the few comedians that I knew that was going hard in favor of Bill Cosby and how he got railroaded. But I am really disappointed at his comments and his remarks. Roland Martin, I can expect it from. But when you are talking about moving our race out forward and you're saying stuff like this, and I'm hearing other people calling saying stuff like this, it's like the brother from Miami who was just talking and said correctly, it was foundational black Americans that put your ass on, dude. We supported you. We support these people, even on the Love and Hip Hop Miami, the Haitians that come here, all these people, African immigrants that come in, that comedian who made some jokes, Blackson that said some stupid shit. We put them on. And I'd like to just correct, it was really the late, great Robin Harris that gave Faison Love his big break, because when he did the movie Bebe's Kids, he was doing the voice acting on Robin's behalf. So I'm just listening to this stuff. You notice too, Jason, when it's other groups that want to get reparations, get money, nobody complains about it.
Yeah, you don't
They're
hear
giving
anything.
reparations.
You don't hear anything from us. You know, that's the whole thing. What does that tell you? That tells you that just like white supremacist society, there is a particular value that these groups place on us not getting anything. As far as they're concerned, there's a particular bone they have with that. Not with everybody else.
Yeah.
It's only
And
when
they-
it comes to us. When you mention us, and all of a sudden here they jump up and they do their white supremacist impression, and then all of a sudden it's about regulating us. Thank you very much for giving us a call here. And you know, like I say, the real thing is for Faison, we letting him know you off code. You hella off code. That's where we stand on this. What's the issue, Jason? He's off code. Call him area code 202. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Actually, I don't know if I'm on, but this is Sister Sean, Washington, D.C. Can you hear me?
All right, Sean in D.C., what's on your mind?
So what I wanted to say, I don't know what's going on with the Faison. I can't really talk on it because I haven't kept up with that. But what I wanted to talk about was that $55 billion Africa, that aid that's, the Biden, kind of pledged. And that's in addition to things that we're not getting as foundational Black Americans, as descendants of U.S. chattel slavery. And you can combine that with...
Okay, can you give us the short version of it? We're short on time, so what exactly was your point?
Well, the short version is that $55 billion is nothing but foreign aid. It's not reparations. What I don't like is that they're trying to say, oh, Africa reparations. No, this is not reparations. So we've got to gatekeep what reparations is and what reparations is not.
Correct.
No, that is nothing but foreign aid.
That is
for solar
correct.
panels.
And that's the point I've been trying to make. That's the point I was trying to make last night, because that was Fox News saying that. That was the point I was making last night, though, is that what they're saying is that anything, this is trying to basically demonize anything done for Black people from anywhere. Anything done for Black people, oh, that's woke. That's reparations. Anything done for Black people. Now, for the Ukraine, that ain't woke. That's not reparations. That's not a waste. That's not welfare. That's not money down the drain. That's none of that. For the Afghans, that's not woke. That's not reparations. That's not money down the drain. But when it's Black people, they're basically trying to do it like, this is the new thug. So they're taking the word reparations, and basically any dime spent on any Black person anywhere they're using the word reparations.
They're trying to demonize the word.
And that's our job to make sure they don't succeed at that. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller area code 562. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
My name is Henry, Norwalk, California.
All right, Henry in Norwalk, what's on your mind?
I think we should just ask for what's on the plate already, and that's 40 acres and a mule. That reparations, I live in California, so the $230,000 will do absolutely nothing. If you offer me 40 acres and a mule...
Okay, let's be very, very clear. If you can't make something happen with damn near $250,000, the problem is not the money, the problem's you. With all due respect. To say $250,000 is nothing, that is just financially dishonest.
Forgive me, I'm not sneezing on that. I can do a lot with that money. But with 40 acres and a mule...
Can y'all imagine? I want y'all to think about this for a moment here. Can you all imagine exactly how many coloring books? Think about it for a moment here. How many coloring books would old Lane Fobbs be able to print if he could actually get $200,000? Just imagine what he'd be able to do. Anyway, go ahead and make your point.
If you give me 40 acres and a mule, I would pick Manhattan Beach, Beverly Hills, whatever the price 40 acres is in those areas. That's what I want for reparation, not $230,000. They owe us 40 acres and a mule.
Brother, what you going to do with a mule?
In L.A.
What are you going to do with a mule today?
Say that again?
What are you going to do with a mule in 2022?
Well, what is the price of a mule?
No. You said 40
okay.
acres and a mule. They can fill your request by
Yes.
giving you a deed of land and taking you
Well
to a
said.
livestock farm in South America and get you your donkey.
Look at you. But what would 40 acres in Manhattan, New York be?
But
It
you
wouldn't
won't.
be
But that's not what.
$230,000.
Okay, find a place where you can get 40 acres in Manhattan, sir. The whole island is built out. What are you talking about? There's not a spare. There is not a spare patch of land that's not spoken for in Manhattan.
But I'm just using that as a measurement.
Right.
If
you're
I went
going to have
down
to go somewhere else. West Texas, Lower Utah, some place that's got large tracts of land, and try that. But then you're going to have a new problem. Because the land, they can give you 40 acres because the land's not near anything. Therefore, it doesn't have value because you won't be able to capitalize on it nor develop it. What you're saying, what you're saying, they could do it, but this is obsolete. It was different back in the 1860s when you were dealing with an agrarian society. We didn't have industrialization. Food production was not industrialized. You and your family grew your own food. They talked about the store, but then again, these are just small operations. They were just feed stores or whatever. But we didn't have industrialized food, industrialized feed, industrialized fuel. That comes at the end of the 19th century. Today, we're no longer an agrarian society. When they talk about slavery, the first cash crop was tobacco. The second one was cotton. It was an agrarian society because the world ran on that. Once we got industrialization, that took over. Now you were in an industrialized economy. Now you're in a technological economy. So the things you're talking about there, they're obsolete now. We could do it to you. I could give you 400 acres. It will do you no good. That will not give you restitution because you'll just have a great big ass patch of land you can't use. We might as well have put you on Mars. Now, if I give you because here's the real problem. You don't buy land to get land. You buy land so you can get money. Why don't we just go ahead and cut to the damn chase? Let me give you the investment. Let me throw the money in your hands. And now you can make some things happen. And from there, it might not be best for you to do that. Think about this for a moment. 40 acres. What is the most valuable property in the world right now? Land or intellectual property? Apple was the first $1 trillion market cap company. Was that based on the land that they own?
No,
they got the big spaceship in California, but that's not based on the land that they own. It's based on not their physical real estate property, but their intellectual property. Amazon, truth be told, Amazon's biggest resource really isn't real estate. Their biggest part of what they make money on is Amazon Web Services, which is really the facilitation of intellectual property. Netflix doesn't make its money off of real estate. It makes its money off of intellectual property. Microsoft, another $1 trillion market cap company. So Apple, $1 trillion market cap, they were first. Amazon was second. Microsoft was third. It reached $1 trillion market cap. How is that based on real estate? Did Bill Gates make his money on real estate? No. He stood in the middle of Times Square when they released, what was that, Windows 95? He released in the middle of Times Square holding a copy of the CDs. Literally he owned more in that box than the people standing around him in the entirety of Times Square. The intellectual property is worth more than the physical property. Unless you're talking about oil. But as you know, all that's spoken for. Mineral rights all over the earth, that's already spoken for. So what I'm saying is, when you think about it, this is the time for black people to be creative. We need to stop looking 100 years behind us, catching up to Field Special Order 15. We need to be creative. It's time for us to have 21st century thinking. And 21st century thinking is not looking backwards to 40 acres and a mule. 21st century thinking is, how do I turn $1 into $2? That's it. If you all want to know, cut the check was the first thing I taught you. Second thing, How do I actually cut the check? Was the second thing I taught you. First thing I taught you all was the basis of all wealth is how do I turn $1 into 2? Now you can call it investing it, you can call it flipping it, you can call it pancake flapping it. I don't care what you call it. Do you understand that if I put $1 in your hands, I now want you to come up with an idea, generate a way, think of a way to turn that $1 into 2? Where can you go? What can you buy that will allow you to turn $1 of value into 2? And then, well, Jason, what do I do then? Rinse and repeat. You do that, you're going to have a hell of a lot more than 40 acres and a mule in value.
Well said.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. This is why they call me. Caller from area code 424. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, brother. How you doing? This is Rashad calling from Houston by way of Watts.
Okay, what's on your mind, Rashad? Get closer to your phone, sir.
Yeah, watching that reparations meeting the other day. One of the things that I think that needs to happen, there needs to be a committee, a grassroots committee that speaks on our behalf, so we don't have these clowns that get up and say all kind of goofy things like land or silver or gold and all that sort of foolishness. Some people that are articulate, that actually know the issues, that are going to get up and speak on behalf of us as a group. So, well, I think that's
what we need to have happen. Here's the problem. The problem is they do have a right to speak. I mean, they're citizens like everybody else, and they're black folk. If they're descendants of slaves, they got a right to do that. This is good. I want you all to understand, this is good. Do not be deceived. This is what we need to have happen. I have said this ever since some lames out there. I've been saying this now for a decade and a half. Yes, this is what we need. We need to have a black civil war. We need to have it where black folk are focused on a singular issue and we can all get out in the streets and get down. So that the folk who are babbling and ain't got nothing to say, we can knock them out the box. This is the time for us to be doing that. Everybody else has done that. Folk want to have you sit up here and believe that folks just got together and they came to a meeting of the minds and everything was nice, delicate handshake. The hell it was. The Peloponnesian War, the Germanic Wars, the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire, Mesopotamia, the French Revolution, the Bolshevik Revolution, the American Revolution, the American Civil War. We can go down the list. These things were solved by coming to blows. That's how you settle these things. Now, I'm not saying that's the preferred mode of travel, but what I am saying is that when you have an intransigent group that is standing in the way of progress and they will not move, throughout history there comes a time where it's going to have to break down and you're going to have to go to war and battle these ideas and overcome them. That didn't happen. In America, it did. When the colonists came over here and they no longer wanted to be part of a monarchy system. They wanted to have their own that respected their white male rights to exploit, but I digress. And it came to blows. First, they argued with the king, and then the king was like, I'm sending some soldiers over there to let you know my point. And they were like, bring it on. But we're not moving. And it's going to come down to it. French Revolution, it's going to come down to it. Haitian Revolution, it's going to come down to it. If that's what it's going to be, remember the Alamo, it's going to come down to it. Hello, Texas. If it's going to be, it's going to come down to it. As black folk, we've been trying to avoid that. I'm telling you that's exactly what we should not be doing, because when we came off the plantations in a perfect world, what would have happened was you would have gathered up all the former slaves and we would have done what all these other folk did. They had an agenda for coming to this continent. We were brought to this continent as part of somebody else's agenda. We never had the opportunity to sit down and decide who we are as a people and then pursue our agenda. Chinatown is the Chinese people's agenda. Koreatown is Korean people's agenda. Mexican town is Mexican people's agenda. We're supposed to have had our own, and it never happened. It never occurred. We never got to decide our central culture, central religion, central belief system, central principles, central dress, none of that. We were just released into the world. millions of people with divergent agendas, in many cases, a bunch of war criminals. I said it. A bunch of collaborators and war criminals. You see, after World War II, the Jews in Europe were allowed to go gather up their collaborators. They were allowed to go gather up the folks who collaborated with the Nazis. They were able to identify the Mordecai Rumkowskis, who sold out the very children in the town of Louds. See, the other folk were allowed to do that. After the Chinese Revolution, Mao Tse-tung was allowed to gather up the dissidents. After the Cuban Revolution, Fidel was allowed to gather up the dissidents. Whether you believe it was just or not, they lost the war. They say, hey, we're going to get down. They got down. Fidel won. He lost the first time. He won the rematch. He grabbed all of them and said, hey, this is the way it's going to be. Bolshevik Revolution. They were allowed to gather up their dissidents, and the country's been standing ever since. Cuba's been standing ever since. France has been standing ever since. We were never allowed to do that. This is why you got black folk out here talking slap stone cold crazy. Talking silly. Everything is babbling. There's a bunch of people who babbling has been their currency, and the dominant society likes that because babbling goes nowhere. When you have a black person who's talking about business and progress, all of a sudden they want to come see you. They want to look over your tax returns. They want to check your paperwork. They want to go over your documents. We want to see your bank account. Where'd that money come from? All of a sudden you get all kinds of scrutiny. But to black folk who ain't doing nothing but talking in circles, white folk love that. White folk love that. He ain't going nowhere. These guys sitting up here, why do you think Fox News was sitting up here mocking them? They're like, man, look, talking about God's going to strike down America. You ain't going to do nothing. You're talking silly, and they love that. So, yes, as frustrating as I know it can be, and trust me, I host the program, as frustrating as I know it can be, this is good. We need folks to hear that this is what we're doing. We need these types of discussions and debates to be out in the open. Everything can't be done with no damn handshake. In the words of Dr. John Henry Clark, time to send the children away, and when the children come back, the issue will be resolved. But the time for begging Negroes who are happy living on their knees, happy talking crazy, happy talking stupid, happy selling the rest of us out for their own personal gain, happy seeing the black people as a group struggling so that they can either get something for themselves or so that nobody gets ahead of them. Because there's a bunch of folk in black society who do not want us to get reparations because they want everybody to stay where they at. So This is why it is so important for us to have these conversations in the open. It is time for an intellectual civil war so that we can decide once and for all who we are as a people, what is our agenda, and what it's going to be on our terms. May the best black man win. Call America code 914. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Caller from 914 has been abducted. Call America code 612. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, Jason, brother. This is George from Minnesota.
Man, George, Minnesota, what's on your mind?
Yeah, brother. Look, Joe Biden is talking about, let's be very clear about one thing. These guys are using words to define something else. He's talking about white people investing or Americans investing in Africa, and he's using the word reparations. Secondly, when you listen to his speech, he talks about, the American descendants of slavery, the FBAs that have built America. Then you talk about reparations being given to Africa. That is bait and switch. They use certain words and try to confuse us. If you are talking about people who have built America for nothing, and their descendants have suffered all this while, we are supposed to be talking about reparations to be given to them. They didn't have any discussions when they were giving reparations to the Jews and the Japanese, but now they want to twist things around. And then we should be very clear about it. That is investment that they're talking about, going to invest in Africa to make profits, and they want to call it reparations. The people who are suffering and that require reparations are the foundation of black Americans. He should be talking about them. If Africa wants to ask for reparation, let them ask it to the European colonial masters like the British and the French and the Portuguese and the rest. They don't have any business to deal with American. America has no business to deal with reparations as far as Africa is concerned. He should be dealing with the children of Africa, of those that were stolen from Africa and brought to America and built America for nothing. We should keep that. The funny thing is that we've heard about reparations. Now the whole world is talking about reparations because the Foundation of Black Americans put it in front of the, in front of the wheel, and that is what is being talked about now globally. And we should keep on because, first of all, we're trying to pretend that they're not hearing what the Foundation of Black Americans are saying. Now they're talking about it. So it is a right.
Well,
a birthright.
This is actually, and you make a very good point, George, because we're setting the model. Nobody's ever done this before. No one has ever done this. The Japanese and whatnot, they weren't slaves. No one's done what we've done. And what we do stands to set the model that everyone else will be following. They're going to look at it letter for letter and line for line to follow this model because this model is going to set them free. If they allow somebody to come in and dilute it and twist it and corrupt it into something else, then it's going to be of no effect. So if we do it and it works and we show them the formula that we used and the rules that we used for it, you can then pick that up and take it to Jamaica. And when they talk to Britain, and you go to Haiti, when they talk to France, and when you go to Africa and talk to the Belgians and the Portuguese and whatever, then they can say, hey, based on what they did in America, these are the rules. Now, in a lot of cases, they may not qualify because they were collaborating. But for the ones that do,
yes,
we're going to show them, here's how you set it. Here's how you don't let any trick bag language make a situation where they claim they're going to give you something, and then when it's time to deliver, they swerve it on you. Here's how you prevent the swerve. All you got to do is copy and paste what we did and then hold them to it.
Brother, there's one thing that we should be very careful about. Reparation should be backed by a legislature, and it should be cut across the board. We shouldn't allow this thing where California is defining his and the East Coast is defining what, and then at the end of the day, nothing comes out of it. It should be backed by a legislature, and all the FBAs should have equal amount of money. I mean,
I disagree with that, George. I disagree with that because that's an extra complication. Show me the legislation that gave money to the Afghans. Show me the legislation that gave money to the Ukrainians. If these folk want to do something, then they just go ahead and do it. Show me when they're going to do that. We don't want to get into a situation where we overly complicate it. The only thing we need to make sure of is they should show the check, cut the check. All we're really doing right now is remember the rules that are put in place sets the model for everyone else. This bull crap they're doing in Providence, we like, and no, that ain't gonna fly. That's not gonna work. So by making sure, and it's not going to be given to you, it's going to be a process. But this is why it is so important that you get a head of state. In California, you have a head of state who is conceding to the demands. People, history is coming full circle. Remember what Dr. John Henry Clark said? Yes, I'm quoting him because this was the man who set us into place for nation building. Remember what he said in the 1960s, when black people took to the streets in the 1960s, the United States government was willing to give us whatever we wanted. That's with him saying it because he was there. He said the United States government was willing to concede to whatever we wanted. And we allowed them to change the subject away from black empowerment to integration. And we've been paying for it ever since. So in this situation here, just understand what you're doing is you're setting a model and you're setting a template. We made it very clear that the things we were looking for was cash payments to the descendants of slaves and not including anybody just because they're, quote, black. Those were the three major things. Cash payments to the descendants of American slaves, and you will not smuggle in other things. They tried it, we beat it back, so you're setting the model. At that point, brother, the only legislation that we need is for the treasurer of the state to start cutting them checks. That's the only legislation we need. See, black folk get into a thing where we start believing that we got to have somebody do some paperwork, and it doesn't work that way. In America, the law of the land is I'm white and I say so. If they say we concede to your demands, bam, it's done. Today, not tomorrow. It's done right now.
So the amount is $250 and above. that is the base flaw. Then we can move it forward.
Well, here's the thing about that.
Okay.
This is an initial effort.
Okay.
Nobody should be deceived. This is an initial effort. And this in no way satisfies everything. By no way. By no means. So don't anybody be deceived about that. I understand what you're asking for. You want legislation so it's codified into law. Understood. Not bad. Here's the real thing. You got everything you need when the head of state or head of your state concedes to it. That's everything you need. Right there. That's all you need. Once they've done that, that's it. You're done. Case in point. This is something I might not be aware of. In California, for example, I've talked about this for years. They're not even arresting illegal aliens for driving with no license, no insurance. Now, if you're black, they'll impound your car. The illegals are driving around with no insurance because it would be, quote, too much of a hardship on them. So it's too much of a hardship on them, but not too much of a hardship on you. That didn't require any legislation. That is not a written law. That was the sheriff who said, this is what we're going to do. No legislation required. Brother, the illegals in America right now, there is no law that allows them to stay here. Listen to me. There is no law that allows it. They're supposed to be deported. The law of the land in 1900s, the same one now. There's no law that allows illegal aliens to stay here on one stretch, on one patch of dirt in America. Not one. And yet, there's Chuck Schumer on the steps of the damn Capitol building. Brother, I'm trying to tell you. It's the law of the land as soon as they say it is. We can overcomplicate it, but I'm telling you right now, take a look at what's happening now. It's the law of the land if they say it is.
Thank you very much, brother. I'm just there to support the family and to move on.
Thank you very much for giving us a call.
Thanks very much.
Y'all got to understand here, like I say, having it codified in the law, that's great. We can probably come back to that a few more times. We probably want to have a couple of things written down. Make sure we keep it going. But just understand, as far as getting this thing rolling, no, they breaking bread all over the damn place. No legislation required. They breaking bread all over. They giving tangible benefits all over. No legislation required. No legislation required. Odell, they don't have a nation backing them up. It's policy here. The nation they got is America. Caller from area code 832. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Alabama in H-Town. Jason, everything that you just said, if I segue from that, is absolutely correct. But my question to you is this. These are all illegal aliens. You know, Chuck Schumer, Uncle Jim Crow Joe. I mean, when we're talking about people who are descendants of refugees and invaders, why is it we don't understand that? We're not approaching the discussion this way. I have some issues, not with you per se, but with even us continuing to refer to ourselves as black, which is a disrespect.
Okay.
It's an absolute disregard.
We'll refer to ourselves however you want us to. We'll use whatever label you want us to use. What is the label you want us to use?
No, I'm not going there with you, Jason. Well, I'm just saying that would be addressed.
Okay, but you mentioned it. You mentioned it, so you've already gone there. You already went there when you mentioned it.
That's not going to go away, Jason.
Okay.
But
the bottom line is, once we get past that, now what do we do?
Right.
What are we going to do now?
Right. So what I'm asking you is about the issue of the immigration statements you were just making. Everyone here other than us, now you can call yourself foundational Black American or whatever. We are not the descendants of slaves. That's another misconception that has been perpetuated. But anyone else is not from this land, is an illegal immigrant. And that's why, now sure you see that they are perpetuating by giving 100 some odd thousand to Afghanis and $1.50 to Ukrainians.
Okay, brother. Well, let me find out here. Let me find out here. Did you have a question? Let me find out here. Did you have a question, or what exactly was your point?
Say what now?
What exactly is your question?
Well, it's still in the context of your discussion you were just having about immigrants, illegal or otherwise, being extended.
Okay, sir,
cheddar,
you're doing a lot of talking. Okay, so you're doing a lot of talking. Time is short. What is your question?
Again, Jason, what I'm saying to you is that none of these people have legal authority or standing.
Okay, sir.
You
yes,
were arguing
yes, they
against
do.
that other brother
Sir,
just before me about
yes, they
laws
do,
being
sir.
brought.
Sir, yes, they do. You're in the dream world and the fantasy world of your own creation, and nobody else is playing with you. Yes, they do. You know what it's called? It's called a gun.
What is it?
It's called a gun, sir.
You're saying they have more guns or bigger guns,
sir,
or you're saying we don't have guns?
What they did is right of conquest. It's the law because they can enforce it unilaterally. This isn't about justice. This is about power. Apparently nobody explained that to you, but
so
the claim that they have made is power, not justice. We're talking about justice. Their claim isn't justice. Their claim is we had the power to take it. So we took it.
Which now are you by default saying that evil agenda will continue to hold sway?
I'm saying that power does not respect weakness, which you talking about. Power only respects power. So you better understand the nature of the beast.
So
you better understand the nature of the beast, sir.
So like
you're talking morals, and that's a little fantasy you're masturbating with in your own head. This is about an immoral beast who does not subscribe to morality. This is a masturbation exercise you're having in your own head.
Your position, Jason, that you should be more immoral than them. That's all I want to understand is what I'm hearing you say.
I am saying
you should be you should out evil the evil agenda that has power.
No, sir. No, sir.
Morality.
No, sir. Once again, for the slow bus kids, you don't have to out evil them. You outsmart them.
Without guns.
That's a new concept for
that's
you.
What you're
that's
trying to imply.
That's a new concept
that you're
for you,
outsmart them without
sir.
Guns.
That's
so
a new
how
concept, sir. That's a new concept for you. The slow bus didn't catch y'all up. You don't out-evil them, you outsmart them. And you might want to get a new container for your CPAP machine. Thank you very much for giving us a call. No, we don't have to out-evil them, we outsmart them. Y'all got to understand, short bus babble tends to do that, but you don't have to out-evil them, you outsmart them. Malcolm X didn't out-evil them, he outsmarted them. Dr. John Henry Clark didn't out-evil them, he outsmarted them. Marcus Garvey didn't out-evil them, he outsmarted them. Elijah Muhammad didn't out-evil them, he outsmarted them. That guy right there can neither outsmart, overpower, or out-evil anybody. Let me get caller from area code 678. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
How's it going? My name is Russell, and I wanted to speak to a few things. But
okay, Russell, where are you calling from?
From Lithonia, Georgia.
Okay, what's on your mind?
Lithonia, Georgia. I was calling because I hear a lot of different questions. I was a long-time listener. Hadn't never. This is my first time calling in. Everybody's saying it's got to be either this or that. I'm confused about that because it doesn't make any sense. If you know what reparations is, if you go and you look and find out who has received reparations and what they were, it wasn't just one thing. There's no group of people who were repaired for wrongdoing that received just one thing. None of it. If you look at the Jews for the victims of the Holocaust, they received right about $90 billion in reparations to this day. $90 billion in reparations to this day. Continues to change. Some of them are from the descendants of people who went through the Holocaust. Their descendants, and when their descendant dies, the spouse receives benefits. $90 billion to this day. I mean, people talk about taxes. They talk about, fuel exemption and, this type of tax or whatever. Well, guess what? Native Americans, they receive that. They talk about land. Well, guess what? Native Americans receive that. Native Americans receive right about $20 billion in support every year.
Well, the real thing about it, though,
Why
is
it that everybody...
California is one state. Texas is one state. Rhode Island is one state. we are owed reparations at the state government, state level, national government level, federal government level, and the corporate level, the private institution level. We're owed reparations at all these levels. So when folk talk about $220,000 in California, I'm like, okay, that's a start. Everybody wants to sit up here. You got to understand, money is new. So what you're finding out is there's some folks who just a little bit of money distracts them just that much. And I'm not saying this is a little bit of money. But as soon as you start talking about the checks, all of a sudden they start getting distracted. All of a sudden they start talking about something other than the money. So what you're really finding out is how unprepared for power a lot of these folk are. Just that quickly they took their eye off the ball, and now they're talking and gossiping, talking about everybody else except what needs to be done. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 929. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, hello. My name is Sandy. I'm calling from the Bronx, New York.
Okay, Danny from the Bronx is on your mind.
I'm sorry, Sandy. Yes. I was just calling saying about the immigrants, how you say they're upset because black people might receive reparations. And I feel being born and raised in New York City, it's because they own everything. And if black people possibly do get reparations, they could probably build businesses. We could possibly put them out of their businesses. So that's why they probably also mad too, because they get their money from black people. Because New York City, black people don't own nothing at all. It's mainly the immigrants. They own everything. I was talking to some young black lady, and I'm glad that the younger generation is now catching on to see what's really going on, how we don't own anything in the country that was built up our ancestors. You know, my grandmother, she's from Baltimore, Maryland, and she's from Baltimore, Maryland, Washington, D.C., and she told me her grandmother was a slave, but she was born in 1927. So slavery was going on way after the 1900s, you know? So to sit there and say that there was no slavery, that's a lie. But the immigrants are mad because that's going to put a dent in their pocket because they're going to be basically putting them out of business because they get money from black people, the Chinese, the Dominicans, the Puerto Ricans, the Yamans. Black people don't own anything. It's only them. So, of course, they're going to get upset. That's how I see it.
Here's the thing about it. In a place like New York, you can't. They can't even do that anymore. Manhattan has been completely built out. I was watching a documentary that was talking about how basically the square footage of Manhattan is tripled, but only because of skyscrapers. So you're talking about a situation where if you can't build a very large structure, you ain't gonna own nothing. Now, Manhattan has been completely built out. What little bodegas and stuff you got left over there, they're gonna steamroll all that. Gentrification running wild.
In the Bronx, maybe.
Now they've crossed over the bridge, Brooklyn Bridge. I mean, literally, if you come from Manhattan, cross over go Canal Street, cross over the Brooklyn Bridge, you can see the skyscrapers starting to come like a tidal wave, starting basically from Brooklyn Bridge. Was that Dumbo and all that? Starting from Brooklyn Bridge, heading that way. You can just see it happening now. The Bronx will be last.
They're in the Bronx as well.
The Bronx will be.
The Bronx will be. They're building buildings.
Okay, the Bronx will be last. Okay, slow down. The Bronx will be last. The Bronx will be last. Yeah. Right now, it's very clear what they're doing. When Amazon wanted to come there, it's very clear. They want to do. Manhattan is already built out. They're doing Brooklyn now. They want to do Queens next. Because remember, y'all got the airports. The airports are heading out Queens. So Queens is next. What they did with the Amazon headquarters when they were willing to offer them that in Long Island City. That Queens is next. Bronx will be last. Bronx will be last. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, you're right as far as maybe the Bronx is concerned. They'll get steamrolled last. In Manhattan and Brooklyn, if you ain't got $1 billion, you're not going to own anything. So for the time being, even the folks who got their little bodegas and stuff, it's already been predetermined how big they're going to get. And the answer is not very. Now, they can all go over there to the Bronx if they want to and try to slug it out for some real estate over there. But as far as Manhattan and Brooklyn, there's nothing else to be gotten. Those are done. But so with black folk, if black folk do,
they got bodegas.
Slow
black
down.
people don't have anything.
If black
That's
folk,
what I'm trying to say.
Okay, my point is though, black folk in New York as a group, especially the ones who have their brownstones and stuff, they're being advised to move out. That's why you got so many black folk from New York down in the Carolinas and Georgia now. So they sold theirs. And they were told it'll go a lot further if you go south. So a lot of black folk there in Harlem and whatnot, they sold their brownstones and they moved south. I'm not going to say necessarily. I'm not going to say that's necessarily a great thing. But what I am going to say is that certainly, as far as building out for the future, you can't do nothing with New York. New York is overbuilt, overcrowded. The BQE is a disaster waiting to happen. The BQE needs to be torn down and rebuilt, but where are you going to send all that traffic right now? That's just a disaster waiting to happen. They're just going to let people keep driving on until it collapses. Black folk as a group, if black folk got their money together, there's no problem with black people migrating out of New York. I'm not saying I advise it, but what I am saying is you can't do nothing in New York anymore because it's not the Dominicans or the Puerto Ricans or the Latinos doing that. You got international money coming to New York now. Billionaires Row, man, that's Arabs and London money now. That's international money.
Yeah, but this been going on. I'm born and raised in New York City, so this been going on for a while. So you say Bronx is last, but Bronx probably, they've been started building these fancy buildings with luxury cars, like
no.
buildings in the cut by the highway.
What I'm talking about for the Bronx is I'm talking about in New York, in Manhattan, when you see the super skyscrapers, now you're starting to see them build the same ones in Brooklyn. Bronx hasn't got that yet. Bronx will be last for that one. Because you got shopping centers and things on the freeway heading out towards the airport in Queens. That avails itself because they just did the $50 billion renovation on LaGuardia. They just did that. So the hotel out, by the way, the hotel out there is beautiful. Well, the hotel out there is beautiful. They've done like this retro thing on it.
I just want to say, do they have to be skyscrapers because they are expensive buildings, or like condos? They're not tall, but you can tell they got doors.
Yeah, but that's the point.
So
no. The thing is, that's what it's going to be. And the reason that that's what it's going to be is because that's the model that Manhattan set. Manhattan has a billionaire's row based off of skyscrapers. Brooklyn is building out and getting richer off of skyscrapers. The Bronx gives you a lot of flat land compared to Manhattan and Brooklyn. It gives you a lot of houses and things. It's going to be a lot easier to clear that. The money is in them skyscrapers. The money is in those tall buildings. The money is in having a gigantic view. And the Bronx is just sitting there. And it's really going to have to happen simply because there's nothing else available. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller Mirko 703. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, what's up, Jason Black? This is the Precise out of Clarksburg, Maryland.
All right, Precise, what's on your mind?
Excellent broadcast tonight, brother. I love what you just said about fighting fire with our intellect. So I appreciate all that you do. The tethers and the babblers, they've been fighting with that foolishness as demonstrated many times tonight. That's the same folks that voted for the $100+ billion to Ukraine. So all I say is cut the check. Love your work, brother. Be one.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. To the know nothings there in the chat room, you can pretend you know what you're talking about. No, sir. They're not building any super tall skyscrapers in the Bronx. You're kind of showing your IQ. Not very good. There's nothing like Billionaires Row, Tribeca. There's nothing like that going on in the Bronx. This isn't about building some luxury condos. This isn't about building some luxury condos. So some folks here, look, just sit back and listen, okay? I'm not even going to roast you. Sit back and listen. Hey, big shout out here to Position Adjust and everybody else who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, CashApp, Super Chat. Thank you very much for your support. Let me get caller from area code 404. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Christopher out here in Atlanta. How you doing, Jason?
All right, Christopher from Atlanta. What's on your mind?
So I, first of all, appreciate one thing that you said about a lot of the babble, because the babble is extremely distracting to the conversation about reparations. But I wanted to just kind of address some of the disputes that might become distractions in this conversation. I won't take too much of your time because I know you've been on for a while. But one thing that guy in New York, the transformer, that we don't know exactly what his gender identity is, he said something like, well, you all don't need to get reparations because you need to build programs. Number one, that's not an argument for or in favor or against reparations, okay? Because we built a country. We built many programs. So, and then one of the things that the fire alarm girl who needs to change her smoke detector out, she was saying that, well, the young people are not going to spend the money on things that are productive and things like that. Again, that has nothing to do with whether we deserve reparations or not. I mean, I'm a software engineer. When I bill someone for software services that I offer, At the end of the day, I can spend that money on whatever I want to. That has absolutely nothing to do with whether I'm entitled to the money or not. People need to realize this is not theft from the government. This is repossession, right? We are simply getting what is belonging to us.
Let me
It's
tell
not
y'all something.
immoral or anything.
Let me tell y'all something. Y'all know I've been around this country. You know I've seen everything.
Yeah.
You can find homeless Jewish people in New York. I know I've seen them. You can find homeless Jewish people in New York. I've seen them. And some of them, by the way, I'm not speaking out of turn. There's been documentaries that have shown this. Some of them receive reparations from the Holocaust. Now, I'm talking about this has been before now. Well, some of them are kids of people who receive reparations from the Holocaust. Nobody says they didn't spend their money properly. Nobody says that.
Oh, yeah. And that's,
You've got people who got
Absolutely.
reparations
And
from the
then all of
Holocaust.
the-
You got people who got reparations from Japanese internment. Nobody sits up here and follows up behind them to see, okay, let me see how you're going to spend it.
Yeah, and the majority of the money that the Japanese and the Asians during that, after the Second World War got, they sent it back overseas to the working class, poorer Asians in their country. In fact, that was about 70% of the money they received was sent overseas. It didn't even go into our economy, and no one judged that at all. But yet, when people judge what some of black people might do with the money, and they may spend it on things that are expendable, that has absolutely nothing to do with whether we are owed the money or not. The point is we are owed that. And I know that you have talked about that very extensively. But, brother, you're doing good work out here. And I've always been a long-time listener, and I've learned so much from you and others in the community. So thank you, and be one, brother.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Don't let anybody distract you all with that idea. Like I say, if folks are entitled to it, and that's it. If they use it wisely, that's great. If they don't, it's no loss to everybody else. Let me tell you something. When you talk about New York City pop-up shops, you got young black folk in New York City. Young black people in New York City, they could do a lot with $50,000. I've seen it. I've seen it. You talking about Nipsey Hussle. I've seen it. They can make a lot happen with that. They can make a whole lot happen with that. But their white counterparts are given the money from their families. Their white counterparts are given the money from the society. You level that playing field, you'll be surprised at how many of these young folk out here, and it's going to be the young. Let me tell y'all something. It's not going to be a bunch of 22-year-olds going to the damn BMW dealership. That's going to be some of them older folks, baby mamas, and some of these old fellas out here who's messed off the first half of their life. The young folk ain't going to do that. I am very optimistic about the young. I'm very optimistic. You know what's going to happen for a lot of them? A lot of them are going to finally be off. They're going to go off and go buy some lights and some microphones and some cameras. And they're going to get their you want to talk about TikTok? They're going to actually have some proper equipment. They're going to have some proper equipment, some proper microphones. Some of these chicks who want to do the makeup tutorials and things, they're going to have some proper equipment to do that with. Some of them will succeed. A lot will fail. All will learn. Some will succeed. A lot will fail, but all will learn. Some of them are going to get to go places and see things they never would have seen otherwise because they're artificially restricted and artificially suppressed. So I've got much more faith in the young, those in their 20s. I got much more faith in them than y'all think. Those are the ones hustling right now. They're not really trying to watch YouTube like that. They're trying to figure out how to be a YouTube star, how to be an Instagram star. What do you think all these chicks are doing running around on Instagram throwing their butt cheeks? They're trying to figure out how to make something pop off. So I've got much more faith in them than you might believe. Much more faith in a lot of these other folk. The older folk who didn't accomplish anything, they're looking for a way to look down on somebody. I've got more faith in them than you think. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. I want to thank all of you for tuning in here. Thank you to everyone who has contributed to tonight's program on PayPal, Cash App, or Super Chat. And if you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time. And if you haven't been to our website, blackchannelfilms.com, you want to go there and check out our Amazon best-selling documentary work, 7 a.m. Gentrified Race War, all available on DVD and streaming. Go to blackchannelfilms.com. That is blackchannelfilms.com. Thank you very much for joining us here tonight. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.